Oh, hey there. Letting everyone in. Letting everyone in.
To see everyone in the chat box.
Here we go. Welcome, welcome. Someone has two computers on with the sound at the same time. So if you have two computers, turn the sound up on one, please.
You want to turn your sound off?
Yeah, sounds like that was Rodney, so it sounds like it's you guys.
Yeah.
All right, and everyone else, while we're saying hello and signing in, can everyone go to the chat and give a little hey ho? Hi there.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to
Oh, that.
Oh, God.
here we go. I'm going to sign in to my other computer.
I don't want reactions.
Oh, Rodney and Denise, one of you guys go to the little audio button. And next to the audio, there's a little tiny pointing up kind of triangle. And that's where you click on that. And then you say, leave computer audio, the bottom up, the second.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. And now I'm going to join from this side. And then we shall be ready to. I just there we go.
Oh.
So who was able to access the recordings? I'm gonna have to change my audio for a second, so I'm gonna make noise right now. And do that same thing 'cause I'm switching computer. There we go. And here I am. And there we go. All right, all set up. So who had a chance to, using my email, access the recordings? Or if you didn't need to watch it, you tried. But if you tried, did it work? Basically, that's my question.
Yeah.
So Denise, you're saying no. What happened? You clicked on the link that I sent, and what happened?
I sent a link to.
Oh, I did click on just the one that has the video from last time, and that worked. But when I went to the thing where you had to put the sbcc.edu and go to that thing where you had to click on the pipeline on the left border, that P doesn't show up anywhere.
Oh, okay, you're right. Okay. So the thing is, that's a different video, and
Yeah.
I should change that. I need to update that video because they changed to my SBCC, and you're right, the P doesn't show anywhere. Now it's called my SBCC instead of a P, and that's where you need to click. So I'll have to change the video. So thanks for reminding me that. I have to make a note of that. So let me make a note to
It's not working.
switch that video. But then I also gave you guys a link to the class recording, and
yes.
Molly, you says you got it. So at
I
least
got it. It was wonderful.
everyone else got the class recording. So in
Yeah,
the
I
same
took it.
email, I had the class recording. And even if you didn't need it, if you've never accessed a class recording before, those of you who are new to me, it would be great if you just try that to see how the recordings work, you know, how it's going to be that it's set up. And one of the things I wanted to say about those recordings is that the recording starts at the beginning of the class all the way to the end, and any questions that are asked at the end. People who have to leave early can always watch the end. Many times the questions at the end are appropriate for a lot of people. You know, they're just questions that, oh, I wish I'd stayed behind to hear that. And other times it's just a very personal, not personal, but my computer has this problem, and that doesn't really apply to everyone. But the good thing is that if you noticed, it's as long as the class is. So remember that during the day, go ahead and keep a notepad next to you. And then when I explain something like, oh, that's how you upgrade your computer, look at the time and go, oh, she said that at 2:30 p.m. And then the recording, if the class starts at 1:30, that means you can zoom up to
Yep,
1
yep,
hour
yep.
into the recording,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll be able to review that material. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna mute Rodney, not that I don't want to hear your mhm, but since whenever there's two people that make noise at the same time, like if I'm talking and you're doing that, then Zoom can't handle two noises, and then people hear yours or mine, and it might be that my message gets broken up when you're making that the acknowledgement sound. So anyway, if you can mute yourself until you have to talk, that would be helpful. Or if you have noise happening in the background, that kind of stuff. And that's mainly because you two are together. That's an issue. For everyone else, it's a bit easier. All right. So welcome back. Welcome to our second day. And the first thing I always want to know, well, first of all, I want you guys to sign into the chat. Then I want to acknowledge people who weren't here. For example, Vicky, we didn't see you the other day. Hi, nice to see you, Vicky. How are you? Nice to see you again. And then who else? Jill, were you here on Monday? Maybe, I don't think you were here, or you were here maybe a little bit later.
Me?
Maybe
Not
I'm wrong.
working.
Anyway,
Talking
so
to me?
Jill,
Oh,
not
Jill. I
Julie,
thought
you came, and then I think Jill Nobles, but I'm not sure if the sound is off. So if you're responding, your sound is off. There you go. So I think you weren't here on Monday, right? Everyone else, you were here. Molly, you were here for a little bit. So anyway, nice to see you, everyone. Vera, Justine, Julie. I know some of you guys have done this class, and I'm thinking right now, I'm looking at Julie, and then you have a conflict. So for those people, we've had a conversation before where it's okay if you just show up to portions of it, and then if you have to, catch up with the recordings and things like that, or there's always something new to learn, but there's also the possibility that there's a day where you have something really urgent. Don't feel like you have to have to be here and paying attention the whole time at all. I really appreciate whenever you're here, whatever you can get. And the last thing I want to say about that is that which people who've been to my class before know, is that do your best to sign in. Okay, so the only way to get attendance isn't by being registered in the class, but it's by being present like this and the Zoom. So if you are present and it's a day that you have, maybe only 20 minutes that you can do for the class, then show up for those 20 minutes. And then I can give you attendance, and then you catch up with a recording. And then the school gets paid by the state for having had a student attend, and then we can keep giving these free classes. If you just go, oh, I'm not going to go today at all, then we don't get the school doesn't get money for the class, and then the funding becomes even less and stuff like that. So even if you have to connect on your phone because you're traveling, right, and you're on the way to the airport, well, then just click on the link sometime between 1:30 and 4:35 and connect, and then it gets recorded and registered that you've been here. Then I can give you attendance because I know you'll catch up with the recording. Does that make sense? Do your best to just connect on days that you have to be here early or later, then you can do a big portion of the class. But on days where you just can't take it, at the very least, do your best to connect from some device for a portion of the class. Okay? That way we can keep these free classes running now that funding is getting scarcer. All right.
I can't. Can you hear me? It's
I can hear
Jane.
you. Yes. Hi, Jane.
I can't sign in, but am I signed in?
You're signed in. You're right here. I mean, I don't know what you're trying to sign in, if you're trying to sign into class
No,
handouts or something, but you're here. I can hear you.
You can see me.
I can
mean,
hear
can
you
hear me.
and hear you.
All right,
and
then
see
I
you.
won't say anything more. I'll just be quiet. All right.
You're right there.
All right, thanks.
All right. So first thing I like to do is ask what happened with what we did last week. And last week we did a lot of just the whole beginning setup and how to do Zoom and stuff like that. But we also talked about upgrading, and I think 2 people were going to consider upgrading. I don't know if you did or did want to do it, but I think it was Mary Ellen and Tracy. So did you guys do it? And it's okay if you didn't, but did you? Yeah,
Yes.
you did, Mary Ellen, and was it complicated? Did you have any
Nope, it was
problems?
easy.
Okay, it just kind of went smoothly. Everything happened like I said. They'll ask you to sign in and then you're done, right?
Yep.
They asked there's a couple of features that are new. I just wanted to say because I updated to Sequoia. And there's a couple of features that are new that they ask you about Apple Intelligence and do you want to sign into this? Do you want to sign into that? So there's questions like that, but it's not like it's complicated. It's just like, do you want to say yes or no to these things? And if you're not sure, you know, kind of the basic setup is to say yes, and then we figure out how it works here in class. And then if you don't want it, you can turn it off. You're never tied into whatever you do. You can always choose to turn things on and off. And that's the kind of stuff that we're going to do in the settings, right? Who wants it this way? Who wants it that way? We just went through light and dark and auto darkness and that kind of thing. But yeah, if you didn't like whatever happened last night, just switch it to the rest. And that's the same with those choices that you made when you upgrade or you install. If you said yes to something that turns out you don't like, you can just in the settings, you can go in and say no. Okay. So it's pretty good. And then Tracy, are you going to try it or are you comfy where you are? What's your situation?
I upgraded.
Oh, you did upgrade too. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Oh yeah, I see the yes there. Perfect. So now, of the people who weren't here last class, I need to know, Vicky, for example, do you know what operating system you're on? I can't hear you right now, so you're gonna mute yourself. I
Okay,
see.
let me check.
Okay.
I am a Sonoma.
Sonoma. Okay, great. And for everyone who was in Ventura, Sonoma, or Sequoia, like Mary Ellen and Tracy were on the older versions, and so that for theirs it was a bigger upgrade. For people who were in Ventura, Sonoma, is anyone interested, or did you try, or did you upgrade to Sequoia over the last day? And you don't have to, but just checking
Did
in
not-
if someone
did not-
else
Did not try.
did not try. And you don't have to, just wanting to know if anyone else gave it a try. So there are, this sounds of not trying to inquire into your finances or stuff like that, but does anyone have an iPhone? Let me clear your answers. An iPhone 2016 or 2015 Pro Max? If so, give me a yes. 2016, iPhone 2016 or 2015 Pro Max? Okay. The reason I'm asking is because it's those two, it's those 2 models only. And Jill, you turned it on and then off, so I'm not sure it was a mistake or if it's a yes, but right now we just have otherwise, okay, it was a yes. Oh, and Rodney, see the thumbs up you gave me? That'll disappear. So see if you can find the yes for instead of the hands up, if you're trying to just say yes, that it's the green check mark. All right, perfect. Those 2 models are able to deal with artificial intelligence. The new Apple Intelligence, or I think they're calling it, the names, there's so many brand names around everything. And those computers that are new enough that upgraded to Sequoia, it also has Apple Intelligence. And some things in Apple Intelligence have made things visually quite different and functionally. In fact, the Mail app that we've used for a long time on the phones and on the computers have shifted very much how they show up. You could always say, I don't like that, and switch it back to looking how it was before. But if you have one of those phones or Sequoia and you updated and you said yes to everything, when you open your mail, it just suddenly will look and function quite differently. Same with your notifications and stuff like that. So quite a few of you guys are in Sequoia. Sequoia, remember, so now I'm going to clear your answers. Quite a few of you are in Sequoia, and that means that your computer can do these things. Unless you upgraded to Sequoia from a very old computer that barely managed it, it might still not be able to do these things. So what I'm saying is, when I open something and I see it, 3 people see it, 2 people don't, it's possible that you're in the wrong spot, you need my help to find it, or it's possible that your computer is using the newest version. And I was so happy when most people are beginning to not be on Monterey so I can show one computer. But now I'm going to have the issue of, well, who has Apple Intelligence and who doesn't, right? Or who has turned on this feature, who hasn't. So never panic if what you see and what I'm showing isn't the same. Just tell me immediately, and then we'll figure out if you're just not there or if your settings are different. Does that make sense? Because what I show, this is so personalized. All these Apple products, for better or for worse, when I'm teaching at school in person, and people bring their didn't used to be able to bring their laptops. They had to use the computers that were there. Everyone's on the same page, right? But then they go home and their computer works differently. So one of the advantages, I'm trying to find the silver lining of being only on Zoom to learn about your computer, is that you're working on your own, which means that each one of you guys are going to have settings that are different. And thus, there's going to be more individual type of, well, you prefer this, you prefer that. So everyone else who doesn't have the setting that I'm talking about, just pay attention, because maybe you'll want to turn it on or not, or you'll decide, oh, that's really cool, I'm going to upgrade to Sequoia to get that feature, or buy a new phone to get that feature, which I'm not suggesting you have to do. Remember, I'm not suggesting you upgrade. But if what you see is something that's interesting and you want it, then the only solution is, well, that only comes in the upgraded version. Does that make sense? So I'll talk about when you'll see easily when it is or isn't something that is available to everyone. I'll be sharing about that. The Photos app, for those of you who are taking the iLife class at the end of this whole thing, to learn how to handle all your photos. And by the way, anyone who isn't signed up into the Living the iLife class, that's where we spend the entire time dealing with our photos and our videos and categorizing, editing, finding them, putting them from your phone to your computer, all that kind of stuff. That app has changed quite a bit. So people who've taken that class and felt like you knew it all, well, there's a lot of upgrades, because a lot of the artificial intelligence has gone into that, into the whole photos and videos and that kind of thing. It's a pretty big deal. So I suggest playing around with it, and if it feels different enough that you need some support, then maybe signing up to that class. And it doesn't start, I believe, till March. I'm not sure. I don't have it in front of me.
April 21.
April 21st. Thank you.
What's the name again?
All right. So I can look later for CRNs, but it's all in that initial email that I sent you guys. Okay. Cool. So if there's no questions about upgrades or updates, let me just share something. Let's everyone open our system settings. I see. Okay. Yes, Tracy.
What was the name of that again?
Living the iLife is the name of the class. And if sometimes, Julie, you're really good at just pointing out the CRNs if you have them handy, because that's you tend to do that. If not, I'll in a minute, when I have a minute, I'll go and find all that information for you. Let me share my system settings to show you, because I did upgrade to Sequoia. Remember, I was in Sonoma. And let me actually share only my settings. It's a little bit easier to not fill your screen. And this is for Zoom upgraded, and it's hold on. Zoom is asking me something. Bypass the system private window picker.
CRN 67534. Living the iLife.
Oh, okay. Let me put that in the chat. Thank you, Lee.
You're welcome.
So CRN, can you say that again?
67534.
534. Living the iLife, which is a weird name, but it's all about photos and videos on the Mac and on the iPhone and on the iPad, etc. How to handle it. So there, I just put it in the chat.
I
Okay.
have a different CRN number in the book.
Uh-oh. So then maybe that is the wrong one.
69489.
That sounds a bit more like it. Yeah, the 69694.
69489.
Okay. Correct. CRN is 69. That, yeah, I think The 6-9s are the classes this session. That must be from last session or something.
Must- Sorry.
69489. No problem. So 69489. And then I think you mentioned that it starts April 21st. So
Till
I'm going to put in there
5/12.
April 21st.
Till 5/12.
Till 5/12. And it's at the same schedule as this. I think maybe it goes a little bit longer. I'm not sure, but it's the same basically when Intro to the Mac finishes, we start with Mac level 1. When Intro to level 1 finishes, we go with Mac level 2, and Mac level 2 finishes, we start with iLife. Okay, so it kind of it's the schedule for all the Mac classes in a row all the way to the end of the session.
It begins at 1 o'clock.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so does, for some reason, they did this weird thing where it was a mistake, I'm pretty sure, because this one started at 1:30, Mac level 1 starts at 1, Mac level 2 goes back to 1:30, and iLife to 1. Someone there missed out when they were scheduling. But anyway, so basically between 1 or 1:30, everything is starting, and they're finishing between 4:30 and 4:45 or something like that. So it's a similar enough-ish schedule. All right, thanks everyone for providing that information. It's in the chat if you needed it. And
May I ask one more question about upgrading before you move on?
hold on one second, because I
Okay.
am going to the upgrade and then I'll let you ask. I was showing you that I did upgrade. So when I go now to my system settings, I have 2 messages. So see, this here wasn't there before. Whenever you have a little red circle with a number, it means that there's a notification, meaning the computer's notifying you of something. And these are called badges. Okay, this is a little badge. And I have 1 notification. Sometimes I have 3. Sometimes you'll say, oh, you have 5 emails coming in or stuff like that. So that little circle there with a number is a badge. And I upgraded to Sequoia today, or I think I did it yesterday. And yeah, there's already a software update available. And that's because once they have a change, a bug, anything, they immediately begin to update. So like I upgraded to Sequoia, and the one that they gave me was 15.2, and now they're telling me there's 15.3. These 15 is the number of macOS Sequoia dot, and this little number 3 means it's 1 up from what I had before, and they've made certain changes, usually bugs and fixes. And so I can say, sure, update tonight. One of you guys had pointed this out last time. Restart now, I will not do. Or I can take my time and do it at some other point, right? But then there's another thing, and see, oops, I clicked on Apple Intelligence and I shouldn't have, because it's telling me you can update to Apple Intelligence. And so what I'm going to say right now is I don't want to do this right now because I want to do it later in class. So I'm going to say not now. And so whenever I'm ready to do that, I'll come up here again and it'll say turn on Apple Intelligence. Okay. So for now, I didn't turn it on in my Sequoia. Does anyone know when they started doing this, if they did turn on Apple Intelligence when they moved up to Sequoia? Does anyone remember saying yes to that? Or
No, I never said yes and I got it.
well, there's things that the computer still does, but there you go. When you say, and then I got it, like it's a problem, then go straight there and say turn off, right?
Okay.
So that's the thing. First, don't turn it off. Get accustomed to it. See if you like it. And then decide. This is my point. If you have a computer that has it, you can say no and keep saying no and keep saying no. And then that's it. And then as computers change and upgrade, the changes will be bigger next time, and then bigger the following time, and then bigger the following time. So I'd say with me here and my guidance, it's better to say at some point yes when you feel that you can trust me to help you or something. And then during the time that we're in class, play around with it, learn it. And then if you still go, this really isn't for me, and it's fine, some things just aren't for people, then you turn it off. Does that make sense? But if you're in class with me and you keep it off, then later you won't be able to know how to handle it when it becomes more and more intricate or more and more complicated, which is how these things tend to be. But for now, if you guys have it off, leave it off. And we'll slowly talk about what the basics are and then what the changes are, and then we'll see how to incorporate them if we're interested in that or not.
If
Tracy,
it's
I had
blue,
told,
it's on. If it's blue, it's on.
if you have a little blue bubble on, it's on, yeah.
Yeah.
Tracy, I know that Denise raised your hand, but Tracy had said he had an upgrading question that I want to honor that. So what was that question?
Oh, no, it was I only wanted to know about the next class.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yes.
about
No,
upgrading.
and I misspoke on what phone I have. I have the 14 Pro.
Oh, okay, great. And by the way, those of you who have the 15 Pro, that's not it either. It's the 15 Pro Max, which is like the top of the 15 line. Other than that, just 16s are having it right now. Yes, Denise?
My question is, so we upgraded to the Sequoia system, but our Mac Pro is from 2019, so we were lucky to be able, I guess, to upgrade to Sequoia. But does it mean that we have the AI because it's Sequoia, or our computer is too old to have AI?
We would have to look at the settings. When you check the settings, if we see that in the settings it says that Apple Intelligence is available, then you will have it. And if not, then you won't.
Okay.
So when we get into exploring the system settings, you'll see it either there or not. Okay. I have a feeling, and this is just a feeling, not a certainty, that if you were able to update to Sequoia, it doesn't automatically mean that your computer can handle the AI. Maybe it needs a certain amount of power or something like that. I haven't researched that, so it's just a generic answer, and then we'll find out once I'll look it up, and then we'll see what your computer is doing. Okay. All right. So
This is a quick question. I lost the share screen.
19?
Yeah.
hold on. Two different people are talking. Rodney, can you mute yourself or so you guys can talk? So we'll find out once I have everyone begin to work on the screen system settings. We'll have you share your screen. We'll figure it out. We'll see mine. You'll compare. We'll find out. Yes, Thomas?
I'm the one who had the question about upgrading.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm on a 1921 iMac, a 2021 iMac, and I'm running Ventura, and I have an upgrade available to Sequoia. I realize you aren't telling us what to do, but that's what you've just done, is do that upgrade, and I might, if I wanted to be as smart as you are, do that myself.
I would say that if you have a 2021, you're safe doing a Sequoia upgrade. Yeah, there's a limit of how old the computer can be before you want to start considering, well, how much RAM does it have, how much this, how much that, to make sure that you don't begin to upgrade to something that will slow down your computer. But on a 2021 iMac, you should be fine upgrading to Sequoia.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And again, you don't have to, but you definitely can. And some of you are all going, I don't know, I don't think so. Let's check it out. But definitely that should be fine. Judith, it seems like you were trying to say something.
I pressed something and I lost your share screen. So what do I do to get back to you?
Oh, you don't see me?
I see the Hollywood Squares, but I don't see your share screen.
Hollywood Squares.
I see all the people, but I
don't.
Yeah.
Squares the game. Sorry, thank you. You don't see me?
Yes, I do. I see you, but I don't see the share screen you're talking about.
I'm not sharing my screen.
Okay.
No, I said once I share my screen, I'm answering questions. Right now you should just see our beautiful faces. Nothing.
Okay,
is
I got it.
right now.
Thank you.
I shared and I stopped sharing once I showed the upgrade button, and that's it.
Okay. That's
okay, Rodney, one last question, then I'll move forward.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get a new computer because I have the 219, but how much memory is advisable? Because they have the 256, the 5 something, and then
How about we do this? People who want to upgrade their computer and want to hear about that, can we talk about this at the very end of class?
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's a very personal situation, and right now I want to teach to the whole class because let me just say one thing. Ultimately, it depends on your budget, right?
Yeah.
So I can say something and then people go, oh, then I can't upgrade. Well, no, if that's but so I'd like to know what your needs are and what your budget is, and then I'll tell you what's worth it. Because to say the truth, the most you can get, the better if you want it to last longer. But that's not a good answer for everyone, right? So so anyway. If you have something that's
I think you
have something that's barely working and you need to just keep working, then you don't need to get the best and the
Yeah.
biggest. You can be
Right.
fine for 3 years, but if you want to be fine for longer, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Okay,
All right.
you answered, thank you.
But ask me again a bit later. I'll give you a more specific answer. All right, guys. So I'm going to share my settings. Everyone open their settings, and let's head down here to this area, which is Siri. And I'm not going to talk about Siri yet, but I wanted to show you that it's in the Siri area that you have the whole Apple Intelligence question. So if over here it's turned on, you would have a blue bubble. For example, a blue bubble that looks like this. That means it's on. That means yes, it's on. Okay. I don't have my Apple Intelligence on, so it's just the settings is turn Apple Intelligence on, right? If I were to turn it on and go through the questions, then it would be blue. Same with Siri. On this computer, I don't have Siri set up. So this little bubble here means that it's off. If I click on it to turn it on, then you get asked, do you want to enable Siri? And this computer is a school computer, and it has not allowed me to enable Siri. The school has restricted some of the things that can be done with this computer. So when I tried to enable it, it doesn't, but that's my computer. If you want Siri to work, yours should be able to stay on. Okay. So there's a couple things, not many, that I can't show you. And then I tend to show them to you on my old computer that's mine, and that I do have a chance to turn on. But this is the example of something is off. This is an example of something is on. The bubble isn't blue, but basically it's a circle with a blue background. And then this is an example of it's a new feature. Do you want to enable that whole feature? Okay. So if you come here and you have Apple Intelligence turned on, give me a yes. If you don't, and you don't even see that, then give me a no. Okay, so in the system settings, I went to the Siri setting, and that's where I want to see how many have it on. Give me a yes. How many have it off, because you enabled it, but you turned it off then, or how many of you have it, if it says turn on and it means you don't have it on, then give me a no. All right, so already I'm seeing that there's 4 yeses, 3 no's. Everyone has to answer, remember? So everyone
Can't find the reaction button.
Okay.
I'll put a yes, but I can't find the button.
All right, so I'm gonna stop my share. It's a bit easier to find your reactions buttons when my share is off. There we go. And then you can find it. And Vicky, you gave me a thumbs up, but remember that thumbs up disappear. So if you can go to where you have the thumbs up and a little bit lower, you'll see the green bubble with a check mark. That'll be a yes that stays on as yes. Perfect. There you go. All right. So where else? So Vera, where's your first computer and your answer? Are you on with one computer? Oh, no, it's on your other one. It's no. Okay. So basically it looks like it's a bit half and half of the class, right? That is saying yes or no right now. I'm looking at the group in general. So whenever we do have this, now, Justina, I'm not sure if you're here right now. You have a no. Okay. I think last time we talked, your computer was a bit older. Did you upgrade or?
Hi. Yeah, I'm here. I got a new laptop. My old one just completely died. 10 years though.
I know. Yeah.
It served me for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
amazing.
yeah, but I got a new MacBook Air.
Okay. So you're on Sequoia, I assume then? Okay, great. Because I remember if I meet you guys on the streets, you'll be like, oh, I'm in your class and you talk to me all the time, and I might not recognize you. Zoom is different, but I'll know once you tell me who you are or whatever. I'll kind of remember your systems, your problems, your issues. And I remember that we had an older computer that we were babying along, but hey, you saw the other computer I shared with you guys is a 2015 and we're in 2025. So Macs are pretty amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. So when it comes to Apple Intelligence, half of you guys will have some features and the other half won't. So whenever I show something, remind me it looks different, then write it down right now and say, yes, my Apple Intelligence is on, mine is not. That way we can begin to see the differences. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's it, yeah.
I don't
Right.
even, Kiana, I don't even see the circle with the blue dot. And I don't see Siri in my,
Do you have Sequoia?
yeah, I'm totally up to date. 15.3.
Okay, so go ahead and share your screen. See, this is where I don't know until I see what's happening. So sharing the screen this is a perfect example of when I need it shared. Okay, so click on that again and then scroll down and
No Siri here.
Siri, it's interesting.
I'm not a Siri user, but I didn't like.
Yeah, well, there's scroll up, Apple Intelligence and Siri. There it is. They've switched it.
Oh,
It's called Apple. Okay, so it's not under Siri since mine is turned off. It just said Siri. But
yeah.
since yours is turned on, I can see yours is turned on. Then
This is
it
red, not
switched.
blue circle.
Yeah, and
Not
it
a circle,
switched.
it's a square. I'm very
And it-
little, very little. So what do I do? Do I click this?
No, it's on. Look on the
Oh.
inside, and yours is on. See the little purple bubble? When I said blue bubble, that's the
Okay.
default. He has
All right.
changed his default colors to pink and purple, so that's why his is purple. But the whole point is
Thank
it's
you.
colored. Okay, so yours is on. And thank you,
Okay.
guys. That's a perfect example of show me, because I wouldn't have known that because mine isn't on yet, that once you turn it on, it might be called now Apple Intelligence and Siri instead of Siri, right? And those are the things that change a little bit. So, and see how easy it was? He shared, I saw, I figured out the solution and we went on. So perfect. All right. That means that you have had it. And as you can see, if you didn't even know you've had it, it's not such a huge change, but it is a change that in certain apps is going to make a big difference. Like I said, the mail has changed a lot. The Photos app, there's certain things where it's changed. And in Siri, in the past, you would have to be very specific, and now you can ask more general questions to Siri, and it figures out a way to give you answers. You can say search for all of these things on your computer. It can try to find it. It's kind of a whole leaps and bounds of what Siri can do from before, where it was just, oh, what's the weather today? The weather is such and such. That's what it could do before. Now it can do a lot more, but we're not going to talk about Siri yet. That's something that's coming up in the future. So I just wanted to show you guys where you in the settings would turn things on and off, and also to show you how, even though we're on the same class and even if we all have Sequoia, our settings could be different. Now, I'm going to share my screen again. This is something that I'm not going to share on the phone because basically only one of you said you have one of those phones. And I actually happen to be teaching with a very old phone. It's a 10. And I don't have thus Apple Intelligence on this, but I, for the first time in years, happen to have a pretty new phone. I have a 15 Pro Max, and so I do have Apple Intelligence on the phone. So if anyone has issues, I think it's just Tracy at this point. No, Tracy, you said it was 14. Jill, I think you said you had a 15 or a 16. Was it Jill and Judith?
Yeah, 16.
Yeah. So two of you guys who do have it, if you do have questions around it, I do have on my personal phones the features, and I can try to help you with that. But it's not something I'm going to be sharing with the class because that is, I foresee in the next few months towards the next year, more people will be upgrading. But for now, I'm going to just talk about Apple Intelligence inside the computer because many of you guys do have Sequoia. All right. So this, once I update, this will go away. Okay. For now, it's there just telling me that there's something I need to do. All right. So I'm going to head down a little bit. Did anyone yesterday when you changed your appearance, anyone change to auto and see that shift during this when it got to sunset? Did anyone do that? Thomas? Good. Did you find it uncomfortable to have in the dark, or was it better, or no real change?
Well, I found it kind of fraud in that all the internet pages were still white, even though the surround was black. So it didn't seem like it really made that much difference.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. I'm going to go dark right now. So let me share my entire screen to show you what he's talking about. Thanks for saying that. So all of my system settings, my Finder windows, and many of you guys don't know, that kind of stuff is what goes dark. My system settings is going dark. But your Safari does go a little bit, you know, Safari, Chrome, to go a little bit darker. But if you go to a page, I don't know, weather.com, for example, that's still the weather.com's page. Like you can't change their content, right? So yeah, it's not like the web pages are going to change. It's just the part that's part of your system. So even this would have been lighter or darker. So now let's go back and put it back in light mode. See, it's this part, the part that your computer controls, but we don't control weather.com. So that's a good point. Yeah. So if what you're doing at night or when it's getting darker is checking the internet, well, those pages will still look like they look, but the holders of everything will go dark. So thanks for pointing that out. Good observation. And yeah, anyone else tried it? Some people feel disoriented when suddenly it all goes black. So give it a try just to see if you can get accustomed to that in case, especially if you're using your computer, but not specifically as we just found out for the internet.
I tried it and the light was a little too hard on my eyes, so I went back to dark.
Okay. Oh, so it's the other way around. You were on dark and you switched to light. Yeah. Light, there's a control for the brilliance. A lot of the people on their brilliance of their computers tend to have it too bright. And thanks for mentioning that, Judith, because that is not something that you control through the settings. Rather, it's on your keyboard. So everyone look at your keyboard. Focus on your keyboard. And on the top left key is the escape key. Remember, we used it a few times yesterday, or I pointed you to it. Just to the right of the escape key, you have the F1 and the F2, and they have like two little like flowers or suns. You see that?
Yes.
So if you start clicking on the one on the left, you'll see that each time you click, your screen will get darker and darker and darker. And if you do the F2, it'll get brighter and brighter and brighter, and you'll have like a little sun happening there. A lot of you guys have it maxed out from the beginning. Others of you, if you max out, you go crazy. The good setting to have is somewhere around the middle, maybe one tad lower. And when it's the darker it gets, like at night, you should bring it down even more, because with everything dark there, then it just hurts your eyes less. So you don't need to go dark or light. You can also control your dark or lightness with that. But a lot of people who live with it on max, the moment you start going down, did it suddenly feel like, oh, it's too dark, I can't do that? Wait, hang in there. Hang in for like 10 minutes, and then it'll feel normal. Hang in there until you find a place where it feels okay. But at first, it never does. Every time you go down, at first, it's like, oh, it's too dark. But wean yourself off of the brightest features, and you'll be much better off as far as the light going in and your face and your head, and you're sleeping even without having to turn on the dark features. And if you can, if you don't turn on the whole dark mode, then go ahead and keep getting more accustomed to bringing it down from half to down. Whenever you're looking at the color of a photograph, if you expect it to look lighter or darker when we work with photos, you might want to lighten it or darken it because you think it's too light or too dark. Well, first you need to kind of get yourself into that middle point, at least, to not have it already be too bright. Anyway, that's for photos, but that's the control where you go up and down.
Thank you.
Okay.
The other problem
you're
I'm
welcome.
having from our class on Monday is, since I am able to right click, I must naturally click on the right-hand side, so that I'm forever getting that damn menu now rather than closing a tab. I assume it's just getting accustomed to.
Well, do you have a mouse or a touchpad?
mouse, yes.
A mouse. So, and it is that side, right? It's not like you're like, because sometimes they're
I think
switched.
so.
And I'm going to say because the mouse can be switched to being left-handed or right-handed. And what you could do to trick yourself is just make your mouse be left-handed and then keep doing what you do, and then know to go to the other side for the right click. Does that make sense? So go and try that. Go to the settings and it'll have a choice. Like, are you left-handed? Do you want to switch the thing? And give that a try first. Or yeah, maybe get accustomed.
I think I'll get accustomed to it, but not yet.
Okay. Everything takes a little bit of time. You've done something for 10 years one way. It's like, okay, we'll just, and then after a while, how did I ever do it differently, right? All right, cool. Well, thanks for trying those things out, guys. Thanks for playing with things, because that's how you learn. If you just sit there and go, I'm going to leave it as is because I don't want to, then you don't you know, adapt to what's new. And I always venture to say, try the new stuff. You can always go backwards, not on upgrades of your computer system. That you can't go backwards. Okay. So if you upgrades on computer system is a whole different thing. Now, I'm going to share my settings again. Remember, we went to the desktop and dock, and we changed the size of our desktop and dock. Remember that if anyone feels a little bit uncomfortable with how it ended up, you can just go back here and make it smaller or larger or magnify it less or whatever it is that you want, and change it from here. I just want to show you one feature, and this is a feature. Sometimes I want to teach things to people who are a little bit more advanced. So if this is something that you don't want to deal with right now, don't bother with this. But especially if you're someone who does my Photoshop, all my art classes, the design graphics classes, you might find, especially if you have a small laptop like a MacBook Air or something, that sometimes you want a bit more space. If that's you, and only if that's you, otherwise this can be confusing. But I actually like to have more space on my computer. I don't use this all the time. Once I've opened Zoom, it's open for the next 3 hours. I don't need to go back. Once I've opened Safari, it's open for the next 3 hours. I don't need to go back. So what I do is I choose the automatically hide and show dock. So in my personal computer, this is always turned on. And when that is turned on, see how my dock disappeared? Now that can be kind of panicky for some people. Where did it happen? Where did my dock go? Well, all it did is it's waiting for me to need it. And it's like, why have the junk drawer open all the time when I only need the screwdriver now and then? So you have it closed, and when you need it, you open it. And how do I open it? Well, I just grab my mouse and I just kind of bang the bottom of the screen. I just go down, bang, and here comes the dock. And then I use it and then I let go. And so when I move my mouse away from that area, it disappears again. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I just kind of bang it down there and up it goes. Some of you might discover that is like the best thing since sliced bread. And some of you guys are like, no, why in the world? I'm fine the way I am. And this is what I want you to do. Try it, turn it on, automatically hide and show the dock, turn it on, your dock will disappear. Then take your mouse and just, not just hover gently to this area, bang it to the very bottom, like down. And then the dock comes, you choose whatever you want, and then you move your mouse out of the way and it disappears again. If you like that, great, good for you. If you want to play around with it today, leave it in that. If you don't like it at all and you don't need the extra space, go back to automatically show and hide the dock and turn that off. And I'm going to leave it off because since I'm the teacher, I need to use the dock and have you guys see it. But if you guys prefer, you can have it on, and that's up to you. That's great.
Is that an accessibility or appearance?
It's in desktop and dock.
Desktop. Oh, I see it.
Okay, right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Now, I told you guys that at some point we were talking about Stage Manager, but first we need to be opening apps and windows and stuff because that's what Stage Manager is for. So I know that there were some questions the other day. I will keep you in suspense. First, we need to do some other basic work with the computer before I can explain Stage Manager, which is also here. So we'll hang in there, okay? There's many other choices. I would recommend using these as the default, and then as you go in to getting more accustomed to these things, you can begin to play around with them, and play around with them in this way. Turn it on, see what it does. If you like it, if you don't like it, turn it off. But don't do a whole bunch of changes at once. You don't know where they came from, right? Like turn one on at a time, practice it and go away. Otherwise later it'll be like, aha, what was the change? What was the thing I did and which one had I started or stuff? So I would recommend leaving that kind of as is, unless you have a particular reason. Now, the other thing that I want to show you here is when we go to the general again, general over here, everyone go to general, and let me actually share my screen to have just the settings again. It's easier now that I don't need to show your dock. Up here in the general. Here we go. There's things you can do here that are pretty crucial to all the storage of your computer. This is a very, very important setting. We're going to explore this setting to the umpteenth level when we get into Mac level 1, find out where our stuff is, how much stuff we have, space in our computer, all that kind of stuff. But I want to point to the things on this final box right here where it say autofill, date and time, language, region, these kind of things here. These are called utilities. The only one that I have always changed is date and time, and it's just, again, functionality. I like to be able to look at my computer and know what date and time it is, and that isn't automatically on the Mac. If I show you my, and again, it might be different for you, but I'll show you my entire desktop again. And I like looking at my screen and being able to see right here at the top, right of my screen, I see that it says Wednesday, February 5th, 2:23 p.m. Go ahead and look at your computer to see if that is something that you have. And if you do, that's fine. And if you don't, then that's something you can turn on, and you can have it written in different ways. And those are decisions you make here under date and time. So I'm going to click on date and time, and you can have a choice to have like 24-hour time, like I'm from Argentina, and over there we use 24-hour time. It's so weird to say AM and PM. But if I tell someone I'll meet them at 14 hours, over here, no one will know. So, they call it military time here, but for us, it's just time, right? So the choices are whatever you're comfortable with. Many of you guys are from other countries, and it's still comfortable for you. You can also have the time be shown to you when the screen is locked so that you don't have to turn on your entire computer just to see the time. So then when you make changes to the settings that are system-wide, then it's going to ask you to put in your password. This is one of those where it's going to ask you to put in your password. So I have a choice to use my password, the one that I use to turn on this computer, or to do a Touch ID. So if your computer has a Touch ID choice, you can just put your finger on the little Touch ID, and that's equivalent to using the password. I'm going to leave this one off right now. Just wanted to show you what happens. Some choices are just on and off, and others you actually have to give it permission. Set time zone, automatically using your current location. Be careful with this one. Be careful with this one, because when you're traveling, if you turn this one on, it'll stay the same right now. But then when you're traveling, sometimes it's very confusing. Like in the summer, I taught many times. I teach from Argentina. I go visit my mom and I stay with her, and I teach on Zoom from Argentina. When I had this turned on, what happens is that all your calendar goes berserk because your calendar switches everything. So if your appointment was going to be in the States at 8 a.m., well, next thing you know, I'm over there and my appointment is at 3 a.m. or something like that, right? So I preferred keeping it the way it was and adjusting my own brain, because when I'm there, I don't have that many appointments, right? I'm on vacation kind of, other than teaching. So anyway, be careful with that one. And if you ever do travel with your computer and you have it on, just be aware that you might have issues. On the other hand, if you're supposed to make a call to the United States at 8 a.m., it's good that it reminds you that in that country, it'll be 5 a.m. when you to make the call, right? So it's just up to you to turn that on and off, just showing you that feature. Now, how we see that number is in a different area. I'll show you in a little bit. But there's some people who want different languages on your computer. So over here, you'll notice that the regular language is English for me, but some of you guys, I can tell by some accents, might have a different language that you're comfortable in. So I, for example, added the plus sign here, and I added Spanish. So then what I have is the possibility of switching keyboards, because sometimes I need to put in accents and things that I don't have in Spanish. And Siri can understand me in 2 languages. So again, I'll let you do this on your own, but if you have a language that you'd like to try, just press a little plus, find the language you want, and there's Englishes from different areas, Canadian, French, Canadian from France, etc. Find the one you want, and then it'll load it, and then that'll help you. Now, why that matters is because, remember I said that right now my weather, my temperature, my date is all in the American format. But for example, temperatures in Fahrenheit to me. Guys, I've been here 35 years. Yeah, I've been here for 35 years and I have no idea what temperature it is if you tell me it's 80. Well, I know it's hot or it's cold, but not. I need Celsius. Celsius, I'm like, I know exactly what to wear, what to put on, right? I'm seeing some smiling people there. You might feel the same way. So this is where you change that. So when I go check the temperature, it just tells it to me in Celsius, right? This school computer, I'm leaving it all that way. Measurement systems, yeah, crazy, right? But first day of the week in here, it's could be Sunday or it could be Monday. In Argentina, the first day of the week is Monday, and then you have 2 days of vacation at the end. You have Saturday and Sunday, versus here it goes Saturday to Sunday. So your calendar, when you open a calendar, this is, oh, I guess since I started, so when I open the calendar, I'm in the United States. Sunday is my first day, Saturday is my last day. If I were to switch this to be the way it is in Argentina, then my calendar starts on Monday and then Saturday, Sunday at the end, right? Again, these seem like little tiny changes. I'll let you, when we get into the whole calendar conversation, we'll learn about the calendar. Right now, I'm explaining how you can make everything in the computer work differently from here. Like date formats, in Argentina, today is not 2-5, it's 5-2, right? So anyway, you would shift that kind of stuff over here. All right, done showing you that. Play around with this for those of you from whom it applies. Okay, which hopefully is for enough of you that it's interesting or that it's interesting. So that's under general, and it's kind of weird because there's so many different places here. Like where is what is what I'm looking for? And for the most part, I find that general has many things under it, versus other things are very specific, right? Appearance is very specific, or desktop is very specific, and stuff like that. But accessibility is another one of the ones that has many choices. Now, I'm bringing you to accessibility. Let me just stop for a minute. I've been talking for quite a bit. I tend to not do that. I tend to check in with you guys. I showed you like 3 different things in a row. Checking in. Everything good? Give me a yes. You have questions? You didn't want to interrupt me? Raise your hands. Say no. It's all working? All good? Yes, Judith?
I don't have your desktop. Does everybody else?
I just stopped my share. Every time that you just see me, I stop my share. It's easier when I ask you stuff to actually see you guys, and then I go back to I go back to sharing my material. But by the way, when I did share it, when I do this, are you now seeing what I'm sharing?
Yes, I see now.
Okay, so you do see it when I share it. Okay, I just was suddenly going, wait, maybe she hasn't seen it at all. So, okay. All right, everything good? Okay, so hopefully some of you guys are making little switches and changes and stuff, and otherwise leave things as they are. All right, back to system settings. This one's a biggie for people in this class, accessibility. There are so many choices. I'm not going to be able to cover even 1/10 of them, but there's a couple that matter more than others. And so here it's vision, hearing, motor, speech in general. You can also handle Siri from here. Some things you change where they're from, but the one I want to bring you to is where it says motor. Motor. Now, if you found it, I'm going to head over to pointer control. Let's go to pointer control. All right. First of all, let me tell you something fun. I don't know if you noticed, but my pointer is kind of biggish. And that's because here in class, I found that people could see my pointer better if I made it a bit biggish. And this is not the place where I make it bigger. And so it's kind of confusing because it is the pointer control. But this is the one where keep an eye, make a note of where these are in your computer right now. Don't change anything yet. Don't change anything. But notice that there's a little turtle and a rabbit, a turtle and a rabbit. Notice the markings if they're almost at the top or in the middle or at the bottom. Because when you change these, you change the way your mouse moves. And for some people, the mouse is really uncomfortable. The mouse or the trackpad, when I say the mouse, the pointer, whatever you're using to control your pointer, okay? Some of you are doing the trackpad, some of you are doing the mouse, some of you are doing other track balls or so many different things. So if sometimes the mouse seems to shoot away with you, when I grab my son's computer, his mouth goes like, so it drives me crazy. And he uses mine and he feels that mine goes too slow, right? And so this is that feeding. So my spring loading speed, right, is that. So if I move it all the way to the top or all the way to the bottom, there's a different speed that my mouse might move at depending on what you're using. And then that might matter or not more according to whether you have some things on here. But the top one is the one I want to talk about. Double click speed. So this is really for mouse people. I constantly find people that have a mouse who have a really hard time doing the double click. So what's the double click? Many times we need to open things on a computer. To open something, you need to double click on it. And depending on how agile your fingers are, it's also for trackpads, but it's harder even on the mouse. Sometimes people just do click, click, and it's 2 clicks. It's not a double click. The double click has to be pretty fast. Click, 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 like tick, tick, really fast. So if that has always been an issue for you when you do the double click, and if you've never done it because you're so new to this that you're not know what I'm talking about, then you'll see that. Then you might want to slow it down so that your double click is still valid when you do a slower double click, okay? Or even slower. And then right now we can't test it. There's another here to test it. You'd have to test it. So I'm going to share my entire screen so that I can show you what I mean. So here's something I can open. I'm going to open this, right, by double clicking on it. So now I went really slow and I can go click, click, and it opened. That was a click, click. Versus if I put it over here, if I do click, click, nothing's happening because that was too slow. I need to do click, click really quickly for it to open, okay? So depending on your needs, you need a faster, if double click has been something that's been an issue for you, just go over here and speed it up or slow it down and play around. And double click is for opening things. So if I need to open this, I double click on it. That is what the double click does. There's other choices that double click usually does, but that's the main thing it does, okay? Double click. So if you just do 2 slow ones and you keep going, I'm doing it, it's not working, then come here and slow it down. Slow it down until it's the speed that you need. All right. That's one that's a biggie. I want to say, because I have a trackpad right now, so I'm going to go all the way from accessibility. I'm going to head back to the trackpad. This computer doesn't have a mouse on it right now. I go back to the trackpad. Here is where it is my tracking speed of how fast I move. And if you have a mouse and you move a mouse, you'll have the tracking speed of your mouse. So go to the trackpad or mouse choices if you have a mouse, and then you'll have the tracking speed. And this is where I have it relatively slowish. If I have it fast, my mouse is like, whoa, I can't even find it. It's all over the place. I find that this, a lot of times people who came to class with me in person, they could never find their mouse because who knows where it was. And so the biggest thing you can do then is slow it down so that now it's so slow it barely moves. It's like, oh, I'm trying to get to the end of the screen. I have to go 25 times until I get to the end of the screen. So find some in-between setting that works for you, right? And I found that under trackpad speed or under mouse speed. I'm going to clear your answers and I want to hear from you guys a yes if you're trying it and it's working. You might choose to change it or not, but just tell me if you're trying it and it's working, you're finding what I'm pointing to, like you're finding the places I'm telling you to do and whether it's going to work. And if you're like, I see what you're doing, but I don't know where to do this, or can you help me? It's not looking like that for me. Then either say no or raise your hand. Yes, Vicky?
So which one is to enlarge the text?
Yeah. That's an accessibility again. So hang in there. I went back. It's not actually, it's in display, but let's go back. Let's finish with, it's in different places.
Okay.
Okay.
I see it.
Let me just finish with this one. The the click. When you click on your screen or when you click on your mouse, when you click on your trackpad, sorry, not on your screen, on your mouse and your trackpad, there's a certain amount of pressure you need to put in. And for some people, it's always confusing. Do I go harder? Do I go lighter? Do I go less light? So you might want to, if you're someone who likes to press really firmly, and when you do that, weird things happen, then change it to firm, and then it'll work easier. A lot of the times, especially when I see you in person, I can go, no, you're pressing too hard or you're pressing too light. Or you can go change it and make it be a firmer press. So then you're better off pressing hard when you need it and light when you need it. And so like right now, I'm clicking on light here. I had to click pretty hard to make it come here because I had it on firm. Now that I have it on light, just a merest tap of my finger will move it. But when I have it on firm, a little tap of my finger won't do it. I'll have to really press. Does that make sense? Is that working? Can you see the feeling? Can you change it? Can you feel how to feel it? Let me keep your answers. You might remember if you start in medium, that's how you feel comfy. Keep it in, remember to go back to medium. But yeah, like right now, I'm just tapping, gently tapping on my thing and nothing worked. I had to press hard to get it to finally move. Versus now that it's on light, the merest brush of my fingers is going to make it work. And for some people, that's scary because they brush their fingers and boom, things happen. So just those are the two things those are the two things mainly that you want to keep an eye on. All right. Yes, Julie?
I see you have tap to click on and I don't. What is tap?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that one I always turn. That's true. That's not a default setting. That's something I turned on. Tap to click is instead of clicking down, you know guys how the trackpad does a little click that clicks down? You know that? Same with the mouse. You can click your mouse and click it down. Well, if you have it on, then you just gentle little tap. It doesn't need to click down for it to be a click. It's just like a little tap, like a finger brush. And I like to have it there. It's just a bare tap. I just barely tap and it works. Versus if it's off, you actually need to click down. The trackpad has to do a little click for it to work. You guys tried that?
So that's on the
mouse or trackpad.
mouse
I happen to be in a trackpad here. I can't show you the mouse, but the mouse has an equivalent choice or setting. But I don't have the mouse choices here because my choices are on the other computer.
Okay, so I'll turn it on then. I use the mouse most of the time.
So I want to get I'm going to stop my share for a second. So Judith, you shouldn't be seeing me now because I just turned off my settings. I want to clear the feedback. For how many people is this useful, or you're like, no, I don't want to change anything? I really want to know. Sometimes I when you take my classes, I teach different kind of things each time. Sometimes I have not different things, but I choose different areas because there's so much, which is why sometimes people come back because they know that next time I'll teach them something I didn't show the first time because there's way too much. But when I'm in person, I point these things out to people. But when I'm here on the Zoom, I haven't pointed these things out so much. So just for some feedback, all of these like mouse speeds and clicks and double clicks, if it's fine and good and useful, give me a yes. If it's confusing and, or you already know it and you don't need it, give me a no. Just for me to have some feedback to know how to proceed. And for those of you for whom, no, I got this, I don't need this, remember that at the very least, I'm teaching you how to look at your settings and explore, right? There are things there that you didn't even know where they were. So in that sense, hopefully, you can go, well, let me see what's this under displays or what's that under whatever, that might be. So that might be useful. So, okay. So my mouse is on my other computer and my other computer's system preferences are a little bit different, Julie. So what I have for my mouse might not be what you have in Sequoia, but I have the tracking speed for the mouse is right here under the mouse settings. And I don't think I have the gentle click. So because it's so much older, I don't know though. Does it look very different than yours does, Julie? This mouse?
Yeah, we have more choices.
You have more choices to, how about someone else share? Can you share the choices that you have for your mouse? It's the same mouse, by the way, but it's a different operating system where the mouse can do more things if I put it on this computer, but on that computer it does less. Julie, do you want to share me or with me your mouse control screen or?
Do you mean me? Because I have Ventura. I don't have Sequoia.
Well, Ventura or Sequoia, I have Monterey, which is the old version.
Yeah.
Or Judith, who mentioned that she has more choices. Okay, so there you have the point and click, you have the more gestures, tracking speed, natural scrolling, secondary click, smart zoom. That was kind of similar to what I had, secondary click. The only one that that I'll explain, okay, I won't explain it too much. Has everyone who comes from the world of PCs felt that the Mac scrolls wrong? Like the scrolling is weird? Has anyone had that feeling?
No.
No, okay. Because the PC users, the scroll, you have to move your hand up and it moves up and down, it moves down. And on the Mac, you move down and it goes down. I mean, it's exactly the opposite way. My husband hates the Mac because he's accustomed to scrolling the wrong way. If that were to happen, it's that natural scrolling thing that needs to be turned off, and then the scrolling will switch to be like in the PC side. Just to point her out for those of you who have that issue. So that's it. Now the mouse has other gestures you can do. And so if you go to the more gestures, no, not the advanced, but up above where it says, no, up, go up for a second. Over here, I'm pointing to the word more gestures.
Oh,
there, click on that. That is things that your mouse can do that you use it as if it were a trackpad, as if it were a board where you can swipe to the right or to the left or things like that. That's extra stuff, but neither of these are the choices to just give a gentle tap or not. Go back to point and click, which was here, right there. Yeah. And then, yeah, go to the advanced to see if it's there. Oh, that's the pointer acceleration. It'll move more quickly for fast mouth movements and down. You have it turned on. Okay, so that's all. So then there is not the gentle tap versus the simple click. Okay, well, there we go. And on the mouse, the click is the click, period. Thanks for sharing that so we could see the difference.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
That's the first time I ever shared a screen, by the way.
By the way, you did great. And see how quick it was, and it provides us all another point of view. Many times I go, well, you have that set up going. Can you share, right? So it's great. Jill, Justine, and Denise have their hands up just to make sure that it wasn't a yes where you raised your hands, and make sure it's a question. If so, Jill, yes, what's your question?
Oh, it was a while back, but it is helpful to see, all this mouse stuff and everything. And I was sort of trying to match what you had. And when you have lookup and data detectors, you had force click with one finger, and I had tap with 3 fingers, so I switched it to match yours. And I just wondered.
So let me just show you what she's talking about, guys. It's again a matter of testing what you want. But what this is, lookup data detectors. This means that, for example, I believe. Let me share my entire screen so I have some. There's sometimes, let me go back to weather.com. It's a non-controversial site. I need to see if it is here. But sometimes you just want to find, no, this won't work because these are clicks. Sometimes there's some words this won't work because this is, where would it be? Sometimes when you're reading something, right, you could click on a word in such a way that if you don't know what that word means, then it looks up and it gives you a definition of storm, right? It's not here because these are links that would take me back to the story of storm. So I'm trying to, I'll have to come up with when, but if you're in the middle of an article or something like that, I don't know, are there articles
Oh, I
here?
see what you mean. If you press down on that word, it might look it up for you and tell you the meaning.
Yeah, I need something that has text. I used to go to the news, but I've stopped going to news because it gets very controversial. But anyway, if you guys have something that has text and you do a force click is really a click and then even further down past the gentle click that the TACPAD does, and even more. If you guys have the phone, there's also like a gentle click and a deeper click on the phone, if you know what I'm talking about. Same thing with trackpads. That deeper click will bring up the dictionary and give you, and that's what lookup is, right? Anyway, so it's just little things like that. Try them out and see which one you prefer. Now, what she meant is she had a different setting here. You could either have it off so that it doesn't do that. You can have force click, or you can have tap with 3 fingers. I never remember the track with 3 fingers, so I've always had it on that. Neither one is right or wrong. Just make sure not to have the same choice for 2 different things, that's all. Okay, so the secondary click, I told you guys to put the tap with 2 fingers. That's the right click. Tap with 2 fingers, and that's the right click. But there is a choice. Some people have it go to the bottom right corner, bottom left corner. Those to me are very uncomfortable. But what that means is go to the very bottom right corner of your trackpad and click that, and then that'll be your right click. Or board to the very bottom left corner of your trackpad and click that, and that'll be your right click. For people who have an issue putting 2 fingers together, and there's some people who have an issue, arthritis or whatever, then maybe that might be a plan B or a plan C. Does that make sense? So that's why you have choices. So find the one that works best with you. Just don't leave it on off. All right, Denise. Good. Thanks for the question, Jill. That was great. Denise, do you
Yeah,
have a
so
question?
just to clarify, the 3 fingers is like to press down if you want to have the press the like to have a definition of a word, right?
Yeah, that's the lookup feature. Mhm.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Justine?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
So I was interested to see that, let's see, the thing about tap to click, turning that on so that you can just lightly tap the trackpad. I don't have it turned on in my settings, and yet that's how it works. I just give it that light tap and that works. So anyway, I thought I'd mention that.
That's interesting. If I have it off and I just do a simple tap, mine doesn't. But maybe you have a newer computer than mine. And it does it without needing it. But it's interesting that if it gives you the choice, but then it still does it. So I don't know the answer to that one, because
I mean,
mine when I turn it off, I can't tap. I have to push down a little bit.
Yeah. So I guess, not really a question, but just wanted to mention that.
Yeah,
like,
it's a good point. A tap, I don't know if you can see my hand. It's like one thing is to push down a teensy bit versus just a gentle, like barely a brush. That's the tap, like barely a brush, like almost like you're tapping on it.
And I was glad that you showed how to be able to use a lighter touch to adjust that, because I don't know if it has something to do with the sensitivity of my fingers, but lately, like I'll tap and it won't do anything. It's like I'm clicking things, and it won't. So I was glad I was able to adjust that to a lighter touch. So thank you. That was very useful.
No, you're welcome. Yeah. So that's the thing, that even though the word accessibility seems to be what these things should be, really you'll find them kind of in different parts and places. That's why first I started with accessibility, and then I brought you down here to the trackpad, and then I'm showing you. I said to someone that there's a different place to find the font sizes and things like that. So yeah, you just kind of have to look around for different places. So Judith, I wanted to explain the font sizes, but I want to first, Judith, your hand is up. Yep.
Yeah, I'm using the mouse all the time, but I've heard you just say something about being able to look up the dictionary. You can do that with the trackpad. Can you do that with the mouse?
Yeah, same thing.
You don't have the dictionary.
I believe. I'd have to find. I need to put the mouse on this computer. It doesn't do it on Monterey. It's an operating system thing. I'll find a page, a web page. I need to open up some web page, something, you guys, something with a lot of writing that wouldn't be controversial. Somebody give me some ideas of where to go.
Would it work on an email?
It might. Let's see. I'm not
Or
sure,
in
but
the news, maybe if you went on Google or the news.
yeah,
and
I've
clicked on it.
decided every time I show the news, there's some news thing pops up, and then it becomes someone
you're
starts
right.
talking about it. So I'm gonna try to avoid the news. But
Maybe next time you can show us.
yeah, I'll look because it's one of those things that when it happens, and I haven't paid attention in particular to which apps does it or not. So I'll keep an eye for that on that, Judith, to give you a sample of that, okay?
Thank you.
And you guys can do it too, because the whole point is that maybe you guys have that you guys notice it and you go, oh, this is what you was talking about. Then make a screenshot or write down what it is so that you can share with us next time.
Hey, Deanna, can I
Yes.
just give you a little update on that? So
Yeah.
even though it was working without that turned on, I turned it on, but then when I turned it off, it won't do it. When I turned it off, I have to do the hard click.
Oh,
So I don't know what that was about, but now I learned that's like, okay,
Now
once
you
I turned it
had
on, turned it off,
set.
it didn't work.
That is so funny.
So now I have to have it on.
That is so
Anyway,
funny. Let me
exploring.
guys, that like it was doing it and then now is enabled the possibility of turning it on or off, right? Is what you're saying, which before it was just on already. So good. Now you
Right.
get a choice. Before you didn't have a
Right.
choice. Let me just tell you guys when I don't know something, what I do. There's so many different things, but right now I was saying I don't really remember how to pull up the lookup and data detectors. Like I know it, I just do it when it shows up, but in my brain I couldn't come up with an example. So what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to Safari, I'm going to just ask Google, look up, I think it was and data detectors, and then I'm going to say Apple Mac, because it's one thing if it's on a phone or if it's on whatever, and then and sometimes you'll even want to write a Mac or whatever on Sequoia because it's different how it works on one or the other. So you get a little bit more specific, and then over here, like what data detector is a different thing. So what is lookup? Okay, I got it. So what is lookup on the trackpad, for example, Apple Mac Sequoia? You can quickly look while working in apps or browsing web pages. And so look up words on Mac. And so I'll just click on this. Like I don't necessarily want to go to, but I'll just look it up and I'll go, you can quickly look up definitions while working. And so this is exactly what will happen. You'll click on something and the dictionary will pop in. Now, in a web, in an app, or in a photo, an image, control click a word or phrase. A control click, by the way, whenever you read control click, that's a right click. That's exactly the same. People who on the Apple didn't have the right click for many years and it was the control key that you see on your keyboard and click, that would be the right click. So that means right click. Or you can tap with 3 fingers, whatever. So say that I right click on this word right now. Oh, there it is. See, it says look up can. So I'm going to look up can and then look up, right click, look up gesture. Oh, you can adjust this in settings, I guess, because I reset my computer. It needs me to look it up. Okay, it's not giving me, I need to, since I just upgraded, it's giving me this choice instead of giving me the dictionary. But anyway, so you can translate it. You can look at, so if I go translate definition, then it says, this will go to whatever, choose what language you want to translate into, translate it into Arabic. So then definition into Arabic, and then and it's telling me the word. It just pronounced it in Arabic for me. Anyway, right? So anyway, that's that feature, the lookup feature. And it's telling you that you can do it with a right click or with those 3 fingers or your force click if your trackpad does force click. That's, by the way, if your trackpad supports force click, that's important. Some of you have older trackpads that doesn't do the feature of force click, and some of you have newer trackpads that does do the feature of force click, where you click and then you click deeper. Okay, so there's like a double deepness to the click of your trackpad. All right, I'm going to stop my share for a minute. I wanted to show you just one last thing that's really useful, and then I'm a bit past time for giving you guys a break. So let me show you the change in sizes of fonts. So over here, there's just something I have on my desktop, right? I have a couple of things here on my desktop. Notice that if I want to see things bigger or smaller, I can go over to accessibility again. And under vision, I can go to display. So head back to accessibility, everyone. Back to accessibility. And then head over, there's accessibility, vision, hearing, all those. Vision is the top one. Go to display. And in here, there's a bunch of stuff that people don't start clicking around doing weird things. I've seen some people mess up their screen a lot doing these things. Just go down to text size, and pointer size, which is kind of how I began this whole conversation. So here's the text size. Click over here, and when I say over here, let me repeat it again. Go to text size, and it says custom in my case because it's already set for custom for a different than normal. So click on that choice, and here you can say what size you want for different apps, or what's your default size. So right now, I think the default size is down here. You can make it really tiny, or you can make it much bigger. And so here's giving you an example of how big those things will be. So this is this little, Vicky, I'm muting you a little bit. So that thing that says example 10 points, that's showing you how big the size, the font will be until you get it humongous. Now, there's careful with that because you make it too big. Then when you say done, when you have an app that's responsive to this, and here's the part that's surprising because not all apps are responsive to this. When you have an app that's responsive to this, it will become humongous or not. So right now, I'm going to go put it back. I think I had it on 15. Books, the Finder, right now I have it at 16 points. The Finder is this that's on my background. My desktop is the Finder. If I make it 42 points, look at how big the stuff got. But then there's less space for stuff. Some fell out of my screen. I'm going to go back and make it be 9 points, and look at how tiny that got. It's hard to see, right? So that is specifically on the Finder. So now I'm going to go back to default, but I found that default, sometimes students couldn't read it. So for this, for here, for my personal computer, I actually have it at that size. But for the class, I think I had it at 15 or 16 points. And I find that that's kind of a better size for people to be able to follow when I'm showing things, right? But you can choose what's comfortable for you when you want to read your mail, when you want to read your messages, when you want to read the news and that. So these are Apple apps. This is not the internet. The internet will show you stuff based on whatever the internet is showing you, okay? But this is the Apple app. So if my calendar, I'm going to open my calendar. It can be that size, or I can go to the calendar and make it be 9 points. Look at how tiny everything got. Or I can go over here to the calendar and make it be 29 points. And then that's how much I'm seeing it, okay? So again, you might not be using the calendar app right now, or you might, I don't know. So I'm just showing you, I'm going to put it bigger again because I teach this app. I teach this app in the Mac level 2. So this is where you would control. The ones that you can't control, you control from here. So once again, text, accessibility, text size, custom, and then you choose the apps that you have. If it seems like your mail is always hard to read, then make it bigger here, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then the last one is the pointer. Oh, I see 2 hands before I go to the pointer. Yes, Julie?
I don't have the word text. I'm on the accessibility and display, and then it goes, a whole bunch of things, and then down to pointer. I don't have anything that offers me text.
Same here.
And you guys are in Sonoma?
No.
Ventura.
You're in Sequoia?
No, Ventura.
Oh, Ventura.
Yeah.
I'm in Sequoia, but mine says hover text. When I do,
Hover text is different. Hover text is up there under vision. Like if you hover over something, the text gets bigger. This is down on inside of displays.
oh,
Click on display, and then it says invert colors and a bunch of stuff, and then here's text. But again, it might be in a slightly different place on yours. So does one of you two want to share your screen?
Yep.
And we'll try to find it there.
I went into display and I still don't see it.
Yeah, so let me just check in. Because again, you might have one version up or down from mine. Accessibility, display, scroll down a bit more. They do change where things are sometimes, and that's it. Okay, so then go back to accessibility. Maybe they have it in a different place. You're in display, so go see where the word display is up here. Back out into to the main accessibility. Okay, so scroll down. For example, pointer control is over here, and I was about to show it in under display. So see, when I show it, I was about to show it, I have it under display, you have it here. So I haven't shown it yet, but that's an example of it's already different than where I had it. So can you scroll up again? It's one of these.
No.
Mouse keys, pointer control. Would it be try zoom? I don't think it's zoom, but try zoom. Hover text, touch bar. No, it's not there.
Didn't you say earlier it was custom?
Well, yes and no. I said it was custom for me, right? But if her version is showing something different, it might be that I am like Sequoia 15.2 and she's Sequoia 15.3 or 15.1, and it's in a slightly different place. Okay, so that's why I always need someone. So I'm trying to find where was text before. Text was in a different place before. Where was it before? Go above accessibility. I don't think so, but go up above accessibility. Go to the Apple and setting and let's show me what version of Sequoia you have.
No, I have Ventura.
Oh, you have Ventura, but we were able to do this before too. So go down to displays on the left side, leave accessibility and go down to the word displays.
I don't have time.
Nope, not there. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to request remote control. So let me see for a second.
It is under displays.
It is under displays. It used to be under displays, but now in her case, it's not. Where are you?
Text at the top.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Thank you. It looked different. So here it is. Larger text. Here.
Oh.
Larger text. Less text. That's where it was in Ventura. Thank you. They changed so you see that? Can you do it so people can point to it so people can see? People who have Ventura, here's under displays, you have larger text. And what it does, it's a bit different. It changes the resolution of your screen. So say cancel right now, but when you change the resolution of your screen, you end up getting bigger font or smaller font. And so it changes other stuff too. I think it's intelligent how they did it now where it really only affects the text. In your case, try it. If you make it larger, everything will be larger, not just your text. Okay, the icons, everything gets larger. That's how it used to be. Now they just have been able to bring it down to being just the text. So there you go. So perfect example of needing to work with me to find it because they put things in different places. And, you know, there's only so many I can remember since I've been through all of these apps. I remember where it used to be, but sometimes I need to explore it before I find it. Now, I'm assuming, Thomas, that was the same question or? Okay, so then the last one was the pointer text, but I'm going to wait until we come back because I've held you back quite a bit from break already. So let's first do this. Let me look at the time. It's 3:07. 15 minutes.
33.
17:33. Thank you. Be back at 3:33 p.m. And remember, set your, what's that? Set your timer for 12 minutes so that you have 2 to 3 minutes to make it back to the screen on time. And I'll see you guys in 15 minutes.
Thank you.
If anyone can still hear me, that's true. It's 23. Thank you. Be back at 3:23 p.m. I am bad at numbers. That's why I always ask someone to do it for me. So hopefully you heard me. All right. Well, I hope most of you noticed my mistake and then you understood that it was 3:23 and not 3:33. Next time, interrupt me, please. Anyone. That's why I always say, hey, help me out here. That's why I'm a photographer, designer, graphic designer. That's my thing. And whenever I need to do numbers, I use calculators or I use Excel for the, billing and stuff like that. I'm not the one to suddenly out of the blue come up with a 15-minute difference. My son, on the other hand, surprisingly enough, is one of those people that when he was really tiny, it was kind of like a party game. He was 5 years old, something ridiculous like that. And people would go, 17 plus 25, and he would just snap it out. And as he got older, it's like he sees the numbers or something. I had a friend who was like that. I've never been that way. So each time I say 15 minutes, someone please keep an eye on me and give me the right numbers if I get them wrong, like Justine did. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to assume that most of you noticed and that you're all here again and keep going. If I don't see you or if you have your screen turned off, give me a yes to make sure that I know that you're there. Actually, let me clear your feedback. Everyone who is here and hearing me and listening to me, give me a yes so that I'll know who's here. I don't want to do too many things, but it was my mistake. I said 33, so I just want to make sure that most of you guys are here, especially if I don't see you. All right. Okay, so I was going to just go really quickly over the pointer size, and then we're going to begin to work on some deeper functionalities. But the pointer size is a biggie. Of all these things, is one of the biggest ones. You've already seen, though, that the pointer size choice, when I began to almost show it in my computer, it was in one place, but when Julie showed it, was in a different place. So if you don't see it where I have it, hesitate, let me show it to you in one place, and then we'll find on your computer where it might be. This sounds more complicated than it is. It's like, oh God, all computers are different. No, it's just that when you upgrade from operating systems, what changes are the settings? And we're dealing with settings. Other stuff changed less, but the settings per se are the things that change. And they decided this time it's going to be more efficient if I put it there or here. But we're all going to find it somewhere, unless it's a setting that's new and it just didn't exist before. Okay. But we'll find it. Usually it's somewhere relatively easy to figure out, or we dig in. Okay, so the pointer size, I'm going to share my entire screen with you for a second so that you can see what I'm talking about. And so here's my pointer moving around. And there's a trick that I want everyone to know, which is if your pointer is ever lost, have you ever lost the pointer? Like you have no idea where it is? It just happens to me all the time. It's like gone. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to either with a mouse or with your finger on the trackpad, let's just shake it. So I'm going to shake my finger. And when I do that, see how big it got? It just appears, for a moment, it gets huge. Same with the mouse. It just does this thing where it becomes huge. And it's to just put your finger on the trackpad and shake, and it'll become really big for a second. And it's just this feature of, God, where is that thing? Just go like this on the trackpad or like this with your mouse. And the mouse just goes, whoo, for a second. Did that work? Yeah. All right. So that's the help. I lost my pointer. Where is it? Just got, and it comes up. But on the other hand, the pointer might need to be always a bit bigger. So for those of you who have my same system, I have it under accessibility, under display, and then a bit below text, here's the pointer. And it says shake mouse pointer to locate. Now, it's possible that if this for any reason was turned off, then you've been shaking and shaking and nothing has happened. So turn it on. but that's a default setting. So unless you've turned it off, the default is for it to be on. And then down here, you have the pointer size. So the normal pointer size is much smaller. It's this. And I have put it about here for it to be easier to teach, but you can even make it really big. Now, I want to caution you. For some people, it's like, oh, mana made in heaven. I cannot believe I finally have a big pointer. But then you need to learn how to use it. Because when the pointer is this big, people think that they can put this whole thing on something to make it work. And the only thing that's valid in a pointer is that very sharpest tip. So if I need to point to this to select it and my whole mouse is on this and I'm clicking away, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening until the tip touches it, then it'll work, okay? So it's still all about the tip of my arrow. So even if it's tiny, in which case the tip and the mouse is so tiny that, you know, basically you go. But when it's large or larger, it becomes harder because people think they're clicking away. They're clicking away and nothing's happening. And it's because you need to put the tip onto what you want to click, okay? The rest is just dead weight. It's there for you to see it. So if you're going to make it larger, keep in mind the tip. Not if I'm trying to move this, I can't select like that. I have to select like that, put the tip right there for that to work. Okay. So that's the size I'm going to make my pointer for it to be a bit more visible to you guys, but not to be so big that it becomes hard to use for me. But you're welcome to go a bit bigger. Maybe I'll go a bit big. I've always had it there. How about I go one bigger? I'm going to try and see if I can get accustomed to one bigger because it is easier for teaching. All right. How does that work?
Fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So did everyone find where to find their pointer? Because for you, Julie, I think we found it under displays. It was under, no, it wasn't under displays. Where was it for you? We had just found it. I had mentioned, oh, that's where yours is. Go ahead and share your screen again, Julie. And anyone who found it, give me a yes. If you have not found it, give me a no, and then I'll help you find it on yours. There it is. No, it's not pointer control, is it? Under motor, it wouldn't be pointer control, but just in case, check. Just check this one first before I go somewhere else, although I don't think it's that one.
On Ventura, it is in the same place under display.
It's under display? Okay, great. So then good. Go to display. No, not that display, but the display that's under accessibility. So go back to accessibility. Yeah, and then that display. Nope. There. Okay. And then here's pointer size right there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So there you go. Anyone else? You're welcome. Anyone else? Thank you, Thomas. Anyone else who couldn't find it? Y'all got it? You made the pointer. Yes, Justine?
Can I just say I found it, but it made me laugh how quickly it got so big because I had it way down small and I thought, oh, it'd be nice to have a little bigger. And I just started to slide the thing and it was huge. It just made me giggle.
It just explodes. I'm glad. Thank you for finding the humor in all of
It
this.
looks like, however, that you can select between the two notches for pointer size. You don't have to go from one click to huger.
Yeah, you can
Right.
you can just choose whatever feels. But when you first move it, it's like if you've seen for how many 20 years of your life a tiny mouse, to suddenly see it bigger, it's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, like sliding it even not very far, like it got really big. So yeah, that was what made me laugh.
It gets pretty. I've finally become a bit accustomed to it bigger here because of the teaching, but it's been weird to have. That's why I'm incrementally making it bigger. I do know it's easier for you guys to see it if I have it bigger, but it's strange for me to have such a big mouse normally. So, okay, great. All right. So I'm going to clear your answers. I'm seeing everyone is good, and I already helped Julie. So those are the main things that I wanted to show you as far as functionality. As you see, there's bazillions of others. But here's what I recommend. If you're someone who knows that you do have some accessibility needs, you know that you're hard of hearing or your eyesight or something like that, I highly recommend, before you explore turning things on and off, which is what I said last time, sometimes exploring turn something on and then you forget where you turn it on and where to turn it off, right? So either like if you know how to do a screenshot, take a screenshot of the basic settings, or even pick up your camera and take a photo of the settings the way they were before you started turning things on and off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that later you'll go, oh, okay, that's the one that I had turned on and off. And then B, do what I did as far as Apple, and ask Apple, so what is a hover text, for example, which is basically you put your mouse over something and it highlights it in a way that doesn't, some people might have a hard time clicking. Or I remember when people are in person, some people who have arthritis, the mouse is really hard to use. And then depending on how their hand is positioned, even the finger on the trackpad might be harder. So everything we've been talking about doesn't even apply to you. You might have like one of those ball pads. There's just so many different things that you might have added to your computer to make it work for you. And then that feature will become available and will be helpful. So if you haven't found it and you didn't know these things were available, they are. There are ways to make a computer work better for you according to your needs. Okay, so take advantage of it. So you can go and explore accessibility and read what one is, and then go to the internet, go to Apple, and then ask for help. So let me go ahead and show you what I made. I'm going to share my screen again, and this time I'm going to share my entire desktop. I try not to share my entire desktop all the time because it occupies so much of your screen. But say that I'm over here and I'm in the accessibility features, and I'm here and I go, oh, what is hover text, right? And I click on hover text, and maybe it doesn't explain it well enough, right? Maybe I don't really know what this is. But basically, this is a pretty good description. Press, and that little flower key, see that it says press to display. So that is the command key. And what's the command key? If you look at your keyboard, to the two sides of the space bar, there's that command key, and it's like a little flower icon on it. Kind of call it a flower, I don't know, a little four-leaf clover. It's like a little thingy. That's that command key. So if you have this turned on, right, then when you press that and hover over something, that thing might show up bigger. So there's, without having to click on it. So there's features like that that you might go, well, what's the point? But then there's something else. Maybe you want to know something else what's here. And notice that at the very top, when I'm in my system settings, you have to be not like in your desktop over here by the Apple, it has to say the word system settings. Then there's something here that says help. So you might want to click here on this help, and it gives you options to get to the macOS help, which is the Apple page online, or there's a user manual, or the macOS support in case something is breaking. Or if you have, in this case, it's a MacBook Pro, then specificity about MacBook Pro. If you have a MacBook, if you have a MacBook Air, if you have an iMac, it might say something different. But I'm going to go ahead and say search, right? So say that I want to write hover text. It says no results found because it's very specific. So then I'm going to click on the manual or the macOS help, right? So say that I start with macOS help or system settings help, right? These different ones. So say I try macOS help. It's going to open up something on the internet, and it's going to say need help, find answers here, new features for macOS Sequoia. So then I might want to go and say accessibility. Type and then hit return. And then, okay, so the examples I'm trying to use are not necessarily there because it's not a feature. What's new? The guides. Usually the one that I find that I have the most help with is the guide. So I'm going to go over here to the system settings again. I'm going to go back to help, and I'm going to go to the user manual. And then the user manual takes me to the internet. Okay, so when you're in the user manual, you can go over here and ask for that, or macOS help manual. So I find that the macOS help manual is the best one. And if I just go online and all I do is do a regular search, a Google search of accessibility features on the Mac OS Sequoia, because as you can see already, they'll be different. I just type it on any old computer, and there we go. Apple support comes up, and that's the one that I find the best, right? Get started with accessibility features on the Mac, or accessibility on your Mac. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it lets you you get to the Mac user guide, and this is the one that I find the most useful one. And select version. So accessibility on High Sierra, Mojave, Ventura, Monterey. So if this were Julie, she might click on Ventura, right? And then things will be different, right? Than if we're in Sequoia or Sonoma. And so don't forget that when you use the user guide to change to the version of OS that you're on, and then it'll talk about vision or hearing or mobility or speech or whatever it is that it needs to talk about. Okay. So then you click on specifically accessibility features for speech, and then it takes you to type to speech or type to Siri or things like that. So this is what I do. I open any browser, any old browser, and I type, and I always specify my operating system. So then I say, I want to say pointer control, for example, on Mac OS Sequoia. And I do that. And then change pointer control settings for accessibility on the Mac. So as long as it says Apple support, you're getting it straight from them. Because there's always other companies and things that will give you the answers, but I do my best to start always with Apple support. And if they don't have the answer, then someone else might have it. So then I go over here, and then I'm already in Sequoia, change pointer control set. And so it tells me double click speed, spring loading, trackpad options, trackback scrolling, and a lot of stuff that I told you the other day. Here it gives you more specificity about that. Okay. And it's the Apple page, but it'd be harder to find it on the Apple page, in the Apple Store page. That's what this is. It's just easier to go to support right there and get your support from that. Okay, enough. Here, I'm here to explain it to you myself, but if I'm not around, I want you guys to be able to search and say, hey, I have this need. Do you have an option for this need? So go to the Mac OS support for that. All right. The other things that we're going to do that are just about the way the computer looks, we're going to keep spotting them in and out. I'm going to just show you one really quickly, which is the wallpaper. This one's kind of fun, and I'm sharing the entire screen already, so that's why I'm going to use the wallpaper. So again, this is back out in the main sets of choices. I'm going to the wallpaper. And the wallpaper is, how do you want the background to look, right? So right now I have it set to Sonoma. I wonder why, given that I'm in Sequoia, that change. That's interesting. So I'm going to go down here, and there's these things called dynamic wallpapers. And if I click on Sequoia, then that gives me a Sequoia dynamic wallpaper. I could go and say, I want a generic Macintosh one. I want the original Sonoma or the Ventura. Now, what does dynamic mean? There's 33 of them. I can go back all the way up to, you know, the very, very first operating systems, right? Each one has had their way of looking, right? I can go back and back and back. But what is a dynamic wallpaper? It means that it changes color. It's got to do with the whole light and dark. So right now, this is pretty bright. And as it gets darker in the day, it's going to become darker and darker and darker. So in this case, it goes straight from light to dark, but my whole background is going to darken as well. That's what the dynamic wallpaper is all about. So in the Ventura one, I really used to love the Ventura one. I love that poppy. I go back to that one. It's really bright during the day, and it slowly gets darker. So this stuff that's bright blue at night becomes dark, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, I don't really like the Sequoia one too much, but I do like their landscape choices. So maybe I'll go with this one. And over here, it's showing me Sequoia, and it has like a little tiny, the Sonoma one had the horizon, the I can show all again. It's all like beautiful sunsets and sunrises. You can put one of these on. You could say Iceland Lake. Anyway, I'm going to go with landscape. I'm going to show less. But really, the one that I like to use, underwater earth, there's just so many. But the one that I like to use are my own photos. So if you have your own photos in your computer, you could also choose photos of yourself and your family. So if you go over here and you have your photo app set out, and if not, you'll learn how to do this in the photos class. Then I'm going to go ahead and click, for example, on all photos. And then slowly my screen is going to start accessing my photos. Now, over here, you can tell it how often to change your photo. So say that I'm going to tell it to change every 5 seconds. Randomly. And why is it not changing? Hello? Hello? Why is it not changing? There, had to trigger it. So then it's picking up, we were on a bike ride. We did a 350-mile bike ride from Cleveland to Washington, D.C. this summer. Well, that's me. That's my friends and my husband. And so maybe I want that to be in my background, or I want this one. But here's the problem. This one is vertical and it's going to have a harder time. But anyway, showing because it's only show the middle of it. So ideally you'll find the ones that you want to show. Now you can also, I'll teach you later, but you can put you can choose some favorites. And if in your app, you know how to choose favorites, then you can say you only want your favorites to be the ones that cycle and not every single photo that you have. And then you make an album of favorites. And then over here, you'll just show the favorite ones, right? And you can have it change all the time, which drives me a little bit bonkers because some things have very bad contrast, right? So it's hard to find things if you're changing all the time. You can have it change every 30 minutes or every 5 minutes or whatever you want. And you can have it be random or you can have it fill, you know, that kind of stuff. But if you say, instead of filling screen, you say fit to screen, then one like this is going to show you the whole photo, but then you'll have like, you know, blank space around it. So that's the difference between fit to screen and fill screen. So play around with that. On my personal computer, I put photos, but I have self-selected photos that are not very busy so that I don't lose stuff. I find that when you have photos that are very busy over here, you might find and lose things that are on the desktop. In Mac level 1, we're going to learn to not have stuff on your desktop, so this won't be a problem. But if a lot of you guys haven't taken that class yet and you have a lot of stuff on the desktop, then you might find that changing screens is complicated and you might want to go for something much more, you know, even and not have to deal with that. I'm going to switch back to the dynamic wallpaper, which is the basic one that comes. Although I was liking the Sequoia one is nice because it's not too busy. Maybe I'll hang out with the Sequoia one for a little while. Anyway, I'll hang out with this one for a little while because I really, really don't like the Sequoia. That shine bugs me for some reason. All right. Were y'all able to change it to find something that you prefer? If you wanted your photos, were you able to find your photos? Okay, I'm seeing some yeses, some thumbs up. All good. I'm not seeing any yeses. I'm seeing some thumbs up. But if you had an issue and it didn't work for you, let me know. If you put photos that are different, maybe slow them down so it doesn't change every 5 seconds. Maybe every minute or every 10 minutes might make it a bit easier to see them. But I love working and seeing my son come up, you know, my other son, my family. I kind of like that. But when I'm working on photo editing, where I really need a screen that's not a problem, then I just go and I switch it to this dull middle gray tone, which is boring but efficient. And then I can go back to seeing the photos of my kids. Because really it's just going over to the settings and clicking one versus the other. It's very simple. As long as you remember where to do it from, then you can choose what you want to have. And I like having, when a computer I'm not working, I like that it's always there and I'm just seeing photos of my kids slide by and my vacations and the good times. All right. I'm looking for a second at the calendar. Not at the calendar, at the timing. This I have on my calendar, I think I have it mistaken, I think, and I need you guys to correct me. because of the weird times in which classes start. I believe, does this one finish at 4:35 or at 4:45?
35.
35.
35, I thought so. I had another one that finishes at 4:45, and when I put them in my calendar, it got confused, and that's why last Monday, I always say last week for last class, next week for next class, but anyway, last class, not last week. I know people who've been my students for many times hear me say this every time. No matter how much I try, I'll say last week, next week. I just mean the next time we see each other, and the last time we saw each other. I think I was working off of 4:45, and so timings got a little bit confused, but it is 4:35. Thanks. All right. So now we're going to work a little bit. I'm going to leave the computer's dock for a little bit, and I want you guys to pick up your phones because I've been showing you all these things on your computers. And as you can see, there's tons more. But what I'd like to show you now is the equivalent, and I'll let you guys explore, but I'll show you a few of them on the phone. So I'm going to share my phone right now, and here we go. So as usual, I have my phone relatively, my settings relatively easy to get to on the front of my phone. I'm going to click on the settings, but remember that if you couldn't find the settings, you would go down here to search and just type out the word by S-E-T, and then, you know, that's enough because settings pops up, and then you click on the settings and boom, your settings open up. That's in case you can't find them. And here we are. They look very similar, and depending on what operating system you're using, you might or not, and whatever phone you have, you might or not have features. So this is my iPhone 10, so it does not have Apple Intelligence. But I head over here to general accessibility. It'll have choices that will be dependent on the operating system on the one hand, but on the phone model on the other hand. So if I go to general to find out what my operating system is, then I'm going to go into the about, general and about, and I'll discover that my operating system is not the OS, it's the iOS, because the iOS is the name of the operating system for this handheld devices. And I think on the iPad, it's called iPad OS. Anyone who has an iPad there can tell me, because my iPad isn't here right now. It has it used to be that it was always iOS, but now they switched it to be something referring to the iPad. Does anyone have one there that they can check and tell me again what it sounds like? You don't have to do it right now. Whenever you catch up to it, you do that. Anyway, and great. Thank you for by the way, Vera's mentioning how good the hide and hide was. Vera's been in my class forever. It's so really good to know that now and then she takes difference. She does a lot of my Photoshop, art classes, but it's good to know that now and then there's always something new to learn. So I have 18.3 and I just updated. So this one should be the latest version available, but I have an old phone. So just because I have the latest version of iOS does not mean that I have all the features if my phone can't handle those features. Does that make sense? So if you have an iOS, but you have an 18.3, but have a newer phone, you might have features that this phone doesn't have. Now, since, as I said, I have a newer phone on a personal level, if it's some question you have that's, about that's really different, then I can still work with you on trying to figure it out. But my iOS 18.3 on my new phone does have some things that are different than my old one. Now, I'm going to head down and show you a couple of these features that we've been talking about. So where's my, I'm in my general. So when I'm going to back out of general to go back to my settings way up there, click on settings. And now I'm going to notice that there's certain things here that weren't there before, like camera, right? Well, because the computer didn't have a camera. But other than that, it's very similar, right? Display, brightness, Siri, search, accessibility. So let's head into the accessibility features right now, since that's the stuff that we were visiting. And here we find that we have display and text size. And again, on this phone, I have, in this case, I think this one's a little bit different on the new phone. Let me check. I think the new phone has a few more options for that. So you don't see it, but I'm on the other side on my other phone. I'm checking the accessibility, display and text size, because I think it has one or two more choices. No. Yeah, it is a little bit changed. I have something here that says reduce white point that isn't on the other one. Oh no, I do have it. Okay, so why the reduce white point matters is because, again, this is where if your computer if your phone is showing you things that are way too intense, you might want to, again, if you're someone who scrolls at night before going to bed, reduce white point allows you to maybe bring your screen up or down so that it isn't always so bright. Even when you brighten it, that would be the max brightness it would go. Does that make sense? Instead of always being at max brightness. And that is something that has helped me. But don't forget that then when you're looking at photos, you might go, oh, this photo looks so dark, how sad. And maybe it's just because you reduce the brightness of your screen a bit too much. Does that make sense, you guys? Now, I have the auto brightness turned on, and auto brightness is good because it gives you a brighter screen during the day when you have to compete with the sun and that's kind of stuff. And then it gives you a lesser brightness at night when you need to rest your eyes. And so that one I have turned on, et cetera, et cetera. So you can turn different ones of these things on, but the larger text here is where you would go in and have larger text. So you can have smaller text, even smaller, or really large. Now you'll see less things if you're surprised that if you change this, right? And then you go to your main screen and you open one of your apps. It has to be an Apple app. It wouldn't be every app that does it, right? Like this settings is an Apple app, and so it responds to it, but it's not like it changes the sizes of other company apps. Okay, so I'm going to leave it somewhere over here since this is one I teach from. I tend to have it pretty big. Were y'all able to find your text size on your phone?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, so let me walk you back to where it came from. I was in my main settings and I went into accessibility. Did you find that part, Judith?
Yes.
Okay, so under accessibility, then I have the choice of display and text size.
Yes, I got
Okay,
it.
there we go. Perfect. All right, anyone else who needs me to repeat something? No, if that worked for you and everything and you got there, even if you chose not to change it, but you got there and you know where and how to do it, then give me a yes if it's working. Give me a no. Again, if you have a much older phone that can't even upgrade to 18.3, although it's doubtful because even the 6, I don't know right now if the 6 can update to 8.3, but yeah, I think it can. So some of this should be working. Okay. Sorry. So one thing that confuses people is this button. When I say the button, I'm talking about this one when I say, is it on or is it off? If you have bold text on or off, again, it makes it not only bigger, but bold, makes it easier to read, right? So see how the text went bolder. Larger text, if you click on larger, then you can get even larger if you have real accessibility issues. But you need to understand that then you'll see very little bit on your screen at a time, right? So be careful with that, or be aware of that. Button shapes and on and off labels, for some people who are not sure what's on and off, when you have the on and off label on, then you'll have like that little tiny eye right there. and that little O, which is kind of universal for on and off. I don't find that helpful at all. I prefer just to see it gray or see it in color. But anyway, if that's helpful for you to know if it's on or off, then there you go. I don't tend to remember that as on or off, although it is universal. Color just does it for me. Anyway, things like that. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one. You can explore other choices yourself. I'm going to go back out. But again, there's the touch feature that I said that some screens are more sensitive than others. The newer screens are more sensitive than the older ones. So if I go to touch, you have choices of what needs to do. Like, I don't know if you knew, but if you shake your phone, by default, the setting is that if you shake it, then it's an undo. So say that you just did something and you didn't want it, you can shake it for it to undo. Did anyone know that?
No.
I know when that started happening, I was like, what? Now, sometimes my phone just falls or does something weird. And then I get the question, do you want to undo this? And I'm like, why is it asking me if I want to undo it? And then I go, oh, it's because I just shook it, right? I don't know if you guys remember, for those of you who know me in person, but I always attach my phone to me. I have my phone attached on a little cable to my waist, to my pants. And it started with school where I would go and leave my phone on everyone's desk when I was showing them stuff. So I attached to myself. But then what happens is it falls a lot and then it just doesn't bang on the floor. It just hangs from my little cord. But when that happens, then I get a question, do you want to undo? And it's because my phone got shook up anyway. So that's that feature. Anyway, just you're gonna if you have issues swiping from the bottom edge of the screen, you might want to turn this one off, but this isn't 100% teach you how to use your phone. There's a whole other class we need to set up for that, but I tried to teach you some of the basics. And sometimes I'll go, okay, let's go back to the main page. And the only way to go back to the main page right now is to put my mouse at the very bottom, outside the edge of my screen and to pull up, and then I can move on to a different place. So to pull up. But for some people, that one's a really hard movement, especially if you have one of those huge phones and you're using only one hand. So then you might want to turn this one off. And then when you try to do that, it might be easier or not with it on or off, right? So I'm going to leave mine on, but play around with some of these, just as I said before, make sure you know what was the default setting, because some people forget what the default setting was, and then they end up having a different result, and they don't know how to go back. But this one, the haptic touch, is the one I was talking about, where depending on how hard you press on your display, different things will happen. Are you aware of that? That sometimes you can press on your phone lightly or long. It's called a long press or a deep press versus a short press. So I'm going to click on this, and the default setting right there. But if you've ever felt like you're touching and nothing happens, then you might need to move it to faster. Or if you just barely brush your screen and something happens, you might need to move it down to slow. And so here's a place where you can practice that. So touch and hold the image. And you notice that there's like 3 different things I did. Watch for a second. I did gentle touch right there. And then it does like a tick, tick, and it gets bigger. And had I pressed even longer, then it had filled the screen. And that's 3 different touches. So it's touch, touch, and then another touch up makes it even bigger. So it's subtle, right? If I go to slow, then I'd have to press harder for it to do that, right? And if I go to fast, then just a little touch already makes it happen. And so if you find that sometimes your phone seems to be out of your control, figure out if maybe you need to slow it down or make it faster. If you feel it's not responsive to you, like you touch and nothing happens, then make it faster. If you feel like the moment you touch your screen, something happens way too fast that you didn't want it to happen, then make it slower. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this is the kind of thing where you might go, oh, she talked about that touch and the haptic, and I don't remember where that one. So grab your notepad, look at the time, it's 4:03, and say, God, I want to review the phone haptic touch, and put down 4:03. And then you go to your video recording and you go, let me see, it's 1:30, the class starts, 4:03. I'm going to scroll up a few hours until I can get back to this portion, right? So that then you can practice without having to watch the entire class again. All right, I'm going to leave it on default, but yeah, that gives you an idea of the different levels of touch that you need on your screen for things to happen. Okay. There's a few other touch accommodations you can have, but only touch one thing at a time, like change one thing at a time and practice it. But if you go over here, you can have other accommodations, like how long do you touch a screen before it's recognized? If you do it twice, some people just do it twice and weird things keep happening. So tell it to ignore your second one. It was just maybe your fingers shake. So ignore the repeat because you didn't really mean to press it again. Tell it to ignore the repeat. My friend who has Parkinson's, he constantly was doing that, and this was really helpful when this came up, for example. Right? So anyway,
Where were you just before that, Deanna? Yeah, go back, please. Okay, thank you.
Haptic touch. I'm in the accessibility touch feature, and there's the haptic touch, which is how far you press, and then this is the accommodations that I have them off, but you might decide that you want them to be on.
No, I have an SE. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, things might be a little bit up or down. Now, vibration, I have my vibration on all the time on my phone. So even if my sound is off, my phone will vibrate if it's an emergency and things like that. But if you turn this off, then it won't. So I actually have mine on all the time. Anyway, there we go. I'm gonna let you guys explore. So before I forget to say this, we're nowhere near the end of the class yet, but I might forget to say this, that I want you guys to to practice. I want you guys to do more than what I'm doing. First of all, if something sounded familiar or sounded useful, go and actually practice it. These things take time. And between Monday and Wednesday, not much time. Between Wednesday and Monday, next class, there's many days. I want you guys to explore, to not just choose to learn the things I did, but to get curious and go, oh, you mean I can control my phone? Let me see what this is, or what is Face ID, or what is, audio and visual. I've always had a hard time with this. Oh, you mean I can change it? Just explore something. Did you all know that if you own an Apple TV, you can use your phone as a remote? Yeah, you can like go to Apple TV and turn this on and have your phone be a remote. Stuff like that you might have never known or thought of. I'm going to go ahead and have us leave this. And to leave this, we're going to go up to the audio settings, not to the audio settings, to the settings, sorry. And we're back in our general. And in our general, here was the wallpaper. Now the wallpaper's become more interesting lately on the phone. So remember how we just did the wallpaper on the computer? So the wallpaper on your phone has some interesting ways. Again, this is the default wallpaper. So I've left it that way because this is, as a teaching computer, I leave the basics. But yeah, I just don't necessarily on my real phone. I like having I've chosen 7 photos, one of each one of my kids, my husband, my mom, a couple of other kids who are like family, best friend. I've chosen 7 or 10 photos, and I kind of, every time I open my phone, I'll have the face of one of them flash over here, and that makes me happy. Whatever, you can do that, or you can have, Hawaii beaches, whatever it works. So you can go over here and you can change it from different places. You can change it from your lock screen, which is what this is showing you. Or you can click over here, add new wallpaper, and it'll show you choices of wallpapers that you can use.
Are you in general?
Yeah, I was under general, but I went into wallpaper. So general was out. I'm out of general. Okay. So when you're in general, you have to go back out to settings.
Okay.
And settings is that main menu. And then down under the same area of general, but down at the bottom, that's wallpaper.
It says change your wallpaper from the lock screen.
So you could do it from there or you can do it from here. Or does yours not say that? You don't have the add new wallpaper choice up here?
Yes, I do have that
Yeah.
all.
So you can do it either way. If you do it from the new wallpaper, then I can click right there on add new wallpaper. And then there's a couple that are featured. And then suggested photos are of your own photos, right?
Right.
And then you have a dynamic set that goes through, or you can have just other funky wallpapers. Oh, look at the cute little thingies. So you can use their choices, right? Or you can choose your own photos. And I'm gonna say that if I want to choose my own photos, for example, and this is a feature of the Photos app that I'm going to teach you in the Photos class, but you could go ahead and go to your Photos app and choose photos from there, which you would do with that. Or if you already set it up in your Photos app, again, I'll teach you this in class if you don't have it, then you can just say, I want a photo of a certain person. So you can go to people, because in the Photos app, you can have your people distinguished by name. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and say that I want a photo of my son. I'll click on people. And it's taking me to a place where I've already distinguished photos of my son. So maybe I have, well, my sons, I have this guy or that guy. So I can choose one of them. Or I want myself in Halloween with my green hair, right? Or my husband peeking out of the rocks. These are photos that I have set up as people. It's something you would need to have done in the Photos app. Since you might not have that done, then just go to Photos right there and it'll go into your phone's photos. And you can go to all. And this is every single photo you have on your phone, and you just start going backwards and you choose the phone. So maybe you choose the photo of the flower, right? Or something like that. Or this photo that I like of mine. That's a drop falling out in a lake in the sunset, somewhere in Washington. There you go. That's a photo of mine that I might want to use, right? And if you like it, you just say add, and if not, you say cancel. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave mine neutral, but this is where you can do some of those changes of your phone. Okay, play around with that a little bit. It's a bit easier to do it from here than to do it from the lock screen, but you could also do it from the lock screen. If you do it from a lock screen, a lot of people get confused why this is happening, and you have to do a long hold. When it says touch and hold, that's one of those long holds. When you're on your lock screen, the one that just has the time, you touch and hold, and then you can add stuff. So let me show you. I'm going to go to my lock screen. That means I have to push the button on the side of my phone to turn itself off. When I do that, it goes into this is the lock screen. So if I touch and hold, see, I just pressed and held really hard. That's when I get to customize it, and I can choose what I want. So I can say, I'm going to move off of the one I want. I can go over here to the plus sign, and then I can start finding the same things, same features as before. So let me show you that one more time, because it's good practice of touch and fold. Go to your lock screen. To go to your lock screen, you need to turn your phone off from the side button until it goes black. Then when you touch your screen and it lights up, now put your finger on your screen and hold it down. Hold it down. That's the touch and hold. That's that harder touch. And then you can say, okay, I'm going to swipe away from this one. I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to do the plus sign, and I'm going to put in whatever photo or phone or whatever that I want. And this is the same place we were at before. Okay, you can choose whatever you want. I am going to X myself out of it because I don't want to change mine. And when you're done, this will have changed. Then you get to just click on a neutral area right here, like on this black area. I can just touch that really quickly, or I can just click on my side button again one time, and that turns it off. And then when I'm done, when I open it up, if you've changed it, you should have your new wallpaper in there.
Which side is the side button that you're talking about? Mine is
When you turn on your phone, I
mine-
just turn it on by touching the screen, but if you have to turn it on, it tends to be on the right side.
on the right side, but I press hard, I get Siri coming up.
Yeah, so you click a single click on it and your phone should turn off.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so then when the screen is black, now when you first touch your screen, mine opens up to this. This is the lock screen. So if no one knows my password, they couldn't get in here.
Yeah, there's a little lock on the top, a picture of
Good.
a
Great. So now that's the one where you do a long press. Put your thumb in there and press long. Did that work?
it's the lock is still on there. I'm still pressing.
All right. So then it's not working.
This
All right. So yeah, you might have it set up differently. Is it working for anyone else to do the long press?
lady is telling me I need to unlock my phone to continue the Siri request. So
You might have enabled the Siri request, and that's what it keeps doing. So you need to get out of the Siri request mode. So go ahead and unlock, get in, and then try it again without enabling Siri. Got it. Thank you, Jill. I'll see you next week, Jill.
Thank you.
All right. The phone is the hardest one for me to teach because you can't share your screen and I can't see your fingers working on it in a way sometimes when I'm on Zoom. If you're in person, I can look and say, oh, you need to press harder or slower. But, you know, I want to hear from anyone else. Has anyone else been able to do the long touch on the screen? If it's worked, give me a yes. If it doesn't work, give me a no, just so I have an idea of what's happening back there. That long touch that enabled. So when it says unlock to edit and I unlock it, then I get to this mode. Okay, so there's like 3 of you who haven't been able to get it. How about Tracy got it? Anyone else? This isn't a yay, it's a race to you got it, you didn't got it. It's just me trying to see for whom this is working, for whom it's not, and how to help. So
Deanna,
yes.
when I long touch, all my apps wiggle around. That's all that happens.
You have to be on this screen, on the lock screen. Yeah, if you long touch and your computer and your phone is on and you do a long touch here, then yeah, everything will start squiggling. You don't want that, right? So just leave say done. You have to first turn your phone off, right? So the little button on the side, a simple click turns your phone off. My phone just went black. And when I touch it again, I get the lock screen. This is called the lock screen. This is this is the screen where you're going to do that long touch, okay?
The long touch brings up Siri.
Well, you might have it set up for that. Let's look into your Siri settings then. The long touch doesn't bring up Siri for me. Does Siri come up for you guys? Anyone else?
Yes, it does. Muriel.
My long touch does not bring up Siri. So let's see what's up with the settings. So let's go into the settings, into your Siri. I'm going to leave this mode and let's go into Siri. And it's not so much Siri. I think it was in the haptic controls. There was one option for it to bring up Siri. Let me go to Siri and see. Allow Siri when locked. It's turned on, but I talk to Siri. I don't touch it. By the way, there's a button on the left side that enables Siri for me, but the right button doesn't. So I just want to make sure that we're not talking about the different buttons. So the button on the right just turns phones on and off. The left button is the one that enables Siri. So, but I'm not sure. You said that the long touch enables Siri for you?
On the right. I have a green circle for allow Siri when locked.
Yes.
Okay.
Mine does too, but mine I activate with sound. I don't activate mine with buttons because then it starts activating willy-nilly. So let me see. We just had found accessibility. Does it have Siri? Accessibility Siri. maybe you have, maybe there's a long touch for Siri somewhere that I'm not aware of. I,
It says talk to Siri, press side button for Siri. And that's
where,
that's
where?
on my phone, and that's got a green thing, so I should take that off.
Yeah. If you use it, definitely don't. But if you don't use it, then yeah, I don't. Here it is. Talk to Siri. Press side button for Siri. I guess I do have it. I just never pressed the side button for Siri. I didn't notice that. I thought I had it turned. Oh, because this is a school phone. On my real phone, I use my side button for a flashlight instead, because I use the flashlight a lot. But that's the iPhone 15. I don't know that you can do that. And in the iPhone 15, you can modify what the side button does, and I use it for my flashlight.
So I'll turn it off so I can use the wallpaper thing.
Yeah, I mean, unless you like you pressing the side button for Siri. If you use Siri a lot, that might be useful to you.
Okay.
So try that now, and let's see if that helps. The long touch is with your finger on the screen, not on a button, okay? So when your phone goes black and you turn it on again, then now it's a thumb on the screen. Boom. Like I'm gonna stop my share here for a minute. Look at my screen. Look at my screen for a minute. The long touch is right here. Long touch. Okay, right there. That's what I'm doing. I'm not pressing buttons. That's where I do my long touch. So I'm going to do that now. If I do it, I have to long touch. And then it tells me open up. So I'm going to open up. And then that gives me that feature where I can start customizing, right? So
that lock is still on though, right? The
lock is still on, yeah. And then when you press hard, it says, well, show me your face or give me your password, right? And in this case, it's given me, I'm typing in the password, and then there it is. Now it's in that mode that says customize at the bottom, see? And so now I get to customize it. I get to add stuff.
I'll have to watch the recording again because I don't
Okay. And if you can do it and like turn it around and show me in front of the photo like I was doing, maybe I can.
Well, what do you want me to show you?
Turn it around kind of like I was doing and put your phone in front of the camera.
And put in
your phone is not in front of the camera. You need to put it. Yeah. So go turn your phone off.
Oh.
That little button once. Okay. It's off. Now touch the screen to wake it up in lock mode. Just a quick touch.
Yes, it did.
Now press long. The same thing. Give the finger just what you did. Now press long. Yeah. Yeah, long.
Okay, now it went blank.
So we waited a little bit too long. So wake it up again. Good. Now press long. Press long.
It turns out.
What phone model is it?
13. It
should be
18,
doing it.
Yeah, it's a 13, but it's 18 point something.
Mine's a 13 as well, and it's doing the same thing as Judith's.
It's possible then that if we were to go now to the user manual and say long touch to change wallpaper, it'll say that it's not available for an iPhone 13. So thank you, by the way, because I have forgotten to say that, which is, yes, even though you have the updated system, if your phone is different than mine, but mine is a 10 and it's doing it. So that's why I'm not sure what's happening there. Maybe you don't have the long press enabled, and so the long press isn't doing anything. I don't know. I really, at this point, I'm a bit of this is when I can have you share your screen on your computer, but I can't have you share your phone where I can touch around to make it happen. So this is a bit harder when I'm not in person, where I can actually go and put my finger in there and see if I can make it work. Yeah, keep trying, or sometimes there's that's when you can go to Google and see if there's a video that shows you how to change your wallpaper. But by the way, remember, this was plan B. The first way to do it was good enough, and you don't always have to do everything every way that's possible, right? So remember that there's no difference in doing it that long screen or going to the settings, going to the wallpaper, and add new wallpaper that way. So this was the plan A, plan B of the exact same feature, right? So if this isn't working, and don't bother, do it this way.
Okay.
Okay.
Add new wallpaper, and I can just pick one of these already.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
some features you need to do, but others will just do it the other way, right? And if it works, and no worries. So I want you guys to do so I want you guys to have some homework. So take a paper and pencil and write down your homework. Okay. So your homework is to test out on your computer, okay, on your Mac, where we first were exploring the settings. Go to your settings, and I want you to explore 5 more features, whichever one comes to your mind that is interesting to you. 5 more, okay? Not the ones that we've done in class. Now, you can always review, of course, the ones that we've done. Please review them, get comfy with them. But I want you to do 5 more because we're doing Wednesday to Monday, right? So 5 more features that you will review. And I want you guys, I know this is like it's not an essay, but write a paragraph about what it does, good or bad, if you like it or you didn't like it. And on Monday, I want you to tell me, hey, I found this amazing feature, or yeah, I went through these 5 and nothing seemed so special, or of these 5, I chose to turn this one on, or hey guys, I just discovered something incredible, and tell us about it, okay? And for those of you who have an iPhone, I want you to do at least 3 more features, okay? Of course, you're welcome to do more, but I want you mainly to explore the computer ones because ultimately it's the same thing, only it's just a little bit, the question is how you press on things, which is kind of what we're going through with Judith. You're welcome to find many to do 10 and then tell us another feature that something that's new and different that you didn't know your phone could do, something that's new and different you didn't know you could do with your computer. On the settings, okay? There's so much other stuff to explore. We're just focusing on settings right now. And this is all about how the computer looks and acts. We're going to begin to work on the computer ourselves, make it do things. Right now, it was more like features of visual accessibility and things like that. Some of you might want to pursue something that you're more interested in, like hearing or eyesight or things like that. But there's a lot of people are colorblind. Well, there's features there to help you with buttons if you're colorblind, what color, you know, how to distinguish between, you know, red and green and blue and those kind of things. So I want a little mini report. But I also want to tell you that don't not come if you didn't do your homework. The last thing I want is to people to go, oh, I didn't do it, so I'm not going to come. That would be absolutely the worst thing you could do. So do what you can do. If you just checked out 2 features, that's fine. If you've checked out 25, that's fine. My goal is that you keep exploring, practicing what we've done, cementing it into your head. Muscle memory is so important in all these things, right? And learning to explore, because when things change, it's still there. It might be somewhere else, right? So muscle memory and learning to explore to begin to feel comfy with getting in and out, going back to the main menu and out and in and out in that menu. That's really what I want. Comfort with the settings features. If you have an iPad, of course, explore what it looks like on the iPad, although in this case, the settings are very similar to the ones on the Mac computer. And then based on what you explore, come up with questions that you might have. And of course, questions of the ones that we already did explore if for some reason it didn't work for you. And I'm not done yet today, but I wanted to clarify that I want you guys to work, to get comfy with stuff so that we can move forward with a different type of things that we need to learn on our computer. And then I want to end up in talking a lot about the cloud, But I first want comfort with these kind of features and with the basic computer movements. We haven't really talked yet about the dock and the Finder and Windows and stuff like that. So we're going to move on to that. I want a minute with those of you who couldn't last class. At the end, it was a bit hard to find for some people the class handouts because the pipeline, the situation, my SBCC wasn't working really well for everyone. So if anyone doesn't know how to get to class recordings, I'd appreciate that you hang in. Everyone else, it's a couple minutes early. You can sign off and I'll see you next Monday. But I want to work with the people who need to get to the class recordings and couldn't find them. Usually I don't send the class recording out because last class, when everyone gets straight on it, we didn't get straight on it, everyone with that. I will send it out today's class recording again as an email, but hopefully that's the last time. Hopefully after that, you know how to go in and get it yourselves. I teach tons of classes and keeping straight which class, which recording. I've tried to do that before and I end up sending the Photoshop recording to the Mac to the design to the whatever. It's never been a very good solution. Or the old class suddenly gets an email from me. They haven't been my students since December and suddenly, hey, here's today's class recording. And they're like, I'm not even in their class. I've had too many of those choices. And mainly it's, you guys need to learn how to use the school system. So it's my prodding. I will help you every single day. If you still tell me I can't get to the assignment, the class files, I will keep helping you. So I want you to tell me and I'll keep helping you until you get it down. But learning how to do that will be also very empowering for you guys to be able to handle the school website for all the classes that you want to take. So, Judith.
I was exploring on the pipeline, so I found out how to do that. But I'm going to go and listen to your explanation again. But I also, before I signed up for this class, I had double booked. So I can't be with you next week. So I'm going to send my homework in to you. And I have an email, right? They gave me your email. And then I'll watch the recording for next week.
Yeah, and I noticed that today you asked me for, I didn't notice it until break when I went to my email. And then I noticed that you had asked me for today's link, which surprised me. But you must have registered later after I did my roster. So I'll add you to my roster because every day at 6 a.m. I send out the link for today's class. So everyone else got it and I wasn't aware that you didn't have it. So I apologize for that. I'll add you to the roster now and then you'll see that Monday morning and Wednesday morning, I always send the link out. That said, it's always the same link, but in case you don't want to scroll down to another one, just the morning of the class, I always send the link out. But yeah, I noticed that you weren't on the roster in time. So thank you. All right. So everyone else who already knows how to get there, please leave. And we have a few. Please leave. Don't hang out if you don't. No, you don't
have a good weekend.
You don't have to stay. You can hang out. Go and enjoy your 5 minutes of freedom. Bye, Julie. Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too. All right. So I'm going to
Bye,
open
thanks.
my browser, any browser, just a browser. Right now I'm opening Safari. And we're going to, I don't want to, 5 minutes isn't enough. I didn't leave enough time is what I'm trying to say. But hopefully one of the things I'm going to teach you how to use these things is to make a bookmark to the mysbcc.edu. But right now, just type my.sbcc.edu, 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 and then hit return. And in case to make it a tiny bit easier, I'm going to put the link in the chat and there you go. That long, oh, wow, that was a long link. That thing that came up, that really long link, that is my.sbcc.edu.
Can I call you back, Gloria? Thank you.
All right. And then here you need to put in your username. And if you have a computer that has Touch ID, notice that mine does. All I need to do is go put my finger on the Touch ID and all that information got put in there. But if you don't have that, then go ahead and put your information. And then I have this thing called two-factor authentication. So I need to look at my phone and type in a number that my phone has just sent me as a text. This is double protection. I highly recommend if you have bank account or anything important that you should set up two-factor authentication, which always means that you need to have your phone with you, or they send it to your email. I find the email is much more complicated because then you need to go get your email. Versus this, you just look at your phone. All right. So I'm going to log in. I'm going to show you a plan B. Last time I had you guys find email and Drive, but for some people, the Drive wasn't showing up. So once you get in here, I'm looking up to see who's left, and it's mainly all of you newer students to me. And once you get into the my.sbcc.edu, once you put in the password, it will look a bit different than mine. Remember, I'm a teacher. I have employees, faculty, and you have other student things. But if you have a window that's a bit wider, so I'm going to open my window a little bit wider, then see how on the left side I get this red column? This is a plan B of how to get to the place that I showed you last time.
Yes,
Just
I
let's go
see the
from the
red-
red column. If
I
you see
see
the
the
red column,
Yes.
they don't have a direct link to the Google Drive, which drives me crazy, and I've asked them to put it in, and I don't know when they will, but they do have here a shortcut to the Gmail. Gmail is our pipeline email. It's the email that the school uses. So let's click in here to the Gmail.
Okay.
Once you're here, let's check if this is your pipeline Gmail. Go over here to the top right and see if it says SBCC.
Yes, it does.
Because last time, the way we did it, some people were left in their personal Gmail. So you guys, the rest of you, are you all in your pipeline email now?
Yes.
Yeah. So this way, it seems to have gotten us to the right place better. Now, this place that has, this is called a waffle icon, right? All these little dots. Let's click on that and let's choose the drive.
Drive, or the triangle thing.
It's more like yeah, oh, it is a triangle. Oh, for my brain, I thought it was yeah, it is a triangle. All right. So now, as long as it still says SBCC up here, that means you're in the right pipeline Google Drive. Is that so? Does it still say SBCC for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, on the left side, let's head over to the shared drives. Shared drives.
Mac intro level 1 and 2.
Yep, that's the one. You'll see Mac intro level 1 and 2. Double click. Remember the thing that I said when you open something, you double click? That when we were talking about the speed of it, that's it. Double click to enter Mac intro level 1 and 2.
So let's say that again. You don't have to do it again, but say it again. You go into SB.
My.sbcc.edu.
Yes. And then
on the left side, on the red column, you click on Gmail.
Okay.
And then you go up next to where it says SBCC on the far right, and you click on the waffle icon, which is the bunch of little dots.
Okay.
And then you choose Drive. I'm kind of showing it right now again, so you can see that you choose this one that says Drive. It's the Google Drive.
Okay, that's complicated.
Once you get to the drive, and I'll put this video up. I'll finish this video up, and I'll before you had to get here a little bit differently, so I'm gonna amend the handout on how to get here. So then in the shared drives, this is important. Shared drives, that's when you'll find the Mac class. And then once you're here, guys, this Zoom class recording links, intro to the Mac Spring, that's the file. We double click on that. And here's where you'll have the recording links. And what I wanted to show you is that there's not only a recording link, but there's also an AI summary. And this is something that I wanted to show to the whole class. They're not, many people left. So I'll show it again next week because the AI summary is just a little description of what was covered. And for some people, it might be good to read that to then know kind of what's on the video. But the video is the full class, okay? So the video, to get to it, you would click and then click again.
But it says class files to download.
Yeah, underneath the class files to download, which we won't download yet, that's for Mac level 1. Under that, there's the Zoom class recording links intro to the Mac.
That's the one you want. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
And that opens this one. And then Judith, you might not have clicked on the link in the information, but this is a class survey that I wanted everyone to fill. So click on this one and the class survey. And then this one is the video that I need to update because you're right. Someone told me this morning, it shows the pipeline version that we are not using anymore. So I need to update that video. So I apologize for that.
I clicked on Zoom class recording. Now, where's this survey?
Class survey.
Where is the
It
class?
was in the email.
Oh, in the email.
It was also in the email, but it's here too. I'm showing it to you right now. If you went into the Zoom class recording links, this is the link for the survey.
On the right, that little, oh, here it is. No.
Class?
Editors can see your view history.
No, I don't know where you are.
Privacy settings, or I understand. Oh, golly.
I have no, maybe it's the first time you use it. It's asking you to say okay to things. I don't know. Are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? Enter to the Max class recordings?
I clicked class recording and I came up with this. So I'm gonna do the.
Go ahead and share your screen to see where you are, because you seem to have gotten almost there. Share your screen with
I'm
me.
gonna go back and, okay, I'm gonna share my screen. And that is on the bottom here someplace, right?
Yeah.
It's
Green
doc,
button. Green button.
the green button, FaceTime. Oh, so it's
going to be at the bottom of the Zoom links, not on the doc, but on the Zoom. Near where the chat is, the reactions where you've been saying yes or no, you should see a green button that says share.
I have to widen it to get more.
Yeah, otherwise it's under the more, the three
Okay,
dots.
share.
And then in the bottom, there's another button that says share.
Share.
There we go. All right, so let's see. Oh, it's just that since this is your first time here, it's teaching you how to use stuff. So go ahead and say, I understand. This will never show up again. It's just trying to get you to, there we go. So there's the class survey. It says at the top, intro to the Mac, access class recordings. And then it has a link, and then the second choice is class survey there. Click on that, and then click right underneath, and that'll take you to a class survey. So go ahead and fill that out when class is over. And see, it's the first time ever you use it, so it's telling you these things. Just say, okay, later it won't tell you these things anymore.
All right,
there
so
you go.
I have to fill this out and send it to you, or just?
No, at the very bottom it says submit, and I'll get the results.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, so this is where you'll find the link for today's class recording. And then here you'll have a link to a bit of a summary of the class. And I'm going to show you, last week, I didn't turn the summary on, but it'll look like this. Meeting summary, quick recap, and then summary of a few of the points that were covered. And this I turned on the last like 15 minutes of the class last week. So there's just a few things. Okay, but that's the kind of thing that you'll get each class, with a little discussion of what it is that got covered that day. It might be helpful to read it or not, that's not important, but the recording itself is important. When you click on it and then you click again, it'll take you to YouTube. This is a private video that only people who have this link, which is only you guys, can come, even though it seems like it's on YouTube. It's just you guys. And as you can see, it's a 3.5 hour long recording. See over here, it says 3.35. So you can grab your hand on this little button and drag it up to whatever time. So see how it says 1:54. So that means that 2 hours in, I was doing this. And 1 hour in, I was there, right? And here's 3 hours in and stuff like that. So I was showing this kind of stuff. Okay, so you can zoom around to the part that you want to repeat. And then that's it. That's the recording. It's the entire recording of class. And this is when I was showing people. But this got a bit confusing at the end of last week because some people couldn't get to their Gmail. So now I showed you a plan B, which seems to have gotten people there more better.
Okay.
Not more better, but it seems to have gotten you there in a better way.
So you have enough
So-
students for this class to go, I take it.
Oh, yeah. The class is going. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's
Thank you.
running. All right. I'll see you guys on Monday.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Have fun.
Adios, gracias.
You're welcome. Bye.